We got it. We did it, Lubie. We came through.
We did. Thank goodness.
Wow. I mean, that could not have been more exciting on Friday night. That was the
like
Panthers
victory.
You know what it reminded me of? It really did. It reminded me of that whole Nick Wallenda thing when he was going over the Grand Canyon there on the tightrope and they misgauged the wind. And all of a sudden you get like the Santa Ana winds are kicking up and they've made their way over to Las Vegas. And this guy's trying to balance himself. Now, he was sort of attached to the thing. So it wasn't like he was going to go into the bottom of the abyss there and fall like 1,500 feet. It was kind of treacherous to watch as he was praying to God. And as we've often referenced, probably the most unusual aspect of that whole telecast was that Joel Osteen was assisting from a mental standpoint, supposedly Nick Wallenda, as he went out there and he was giving him confidence. And there were many God references like, oh, God. And he's in the middle of the Grand Canyon there, not looking too sure of himself, wearing a pair of like ballet slippers and holding a rod. But I think Joel Osteen was having his rod held by Wallenda's wife.
Oh, yeah, you're fine. You're fine.
Keep going, Nick. Keep going. See, Joel Osteen, I mean, yeah, he's very good at what he does, I have to say. He's very good at what he does. When you watch those lectures, you start to believe that, you know what, maybe Jesus can come and save me. But I don't think so.
I don't know. That's a long shot.
The time. Wake up with Defo, joined by Lubie. Welcome to the Defo Show.
And a very pleasant good morning, everybody. Good to be with you here on ION Channel for the Defo Show. Jeff Deforrest, Mike Lubitz. And if it's a Thursday, that means we're going to conduct a rendition of the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. We'll be joined about 7:30 by one Dave Gurgly, one of the greats in the broadcasting industry and just a great American all around who no doubt will have some Preakness fever, which is a tough fever to kick. It really is. I guess it'll kick in full strength on Saturday. And then a few minutes after the race, when you're tearing up your tickets or firing them at the screens. Skippy Longstocking, I'm telling you, Lubie, Skippy Longstocking is the way to go.
At least for you.
I'm going all in on Skippy Longstocking. I have no idea what this horse has done in his past. I have not seen any past performance listings. I haven't bought a racing form yet that has the Preakness entries in it. I remember when we were sponsored for a time by Top Hat Thoroughbreds.
Yes, for a while.
And that was great. Yeah, it was a real good relationship. Had a couple of interests in some losing horses, but it was a lot of fun, right? I never had more wilder anticipation going to the track than when the horse that I had a 10% interest in ran for the first time. And unfortunately, in a field of 5, let's face it, he only lost to 4 other horses, so that wasn't too bad. And although not overwhelmingly promising. And just a footnote here before we get started. I'm going to tear up that scathing letter that I wrote to the manufacturers of these cheap old Walmart headphones that you bought, Lubie, when we first started this project, and we weren't sure if we wanted to invest more than $100 in our future. And so, they've been crapping out on me in and out for a while now, and I finally figured it out. There was a button pushed here on my little mixing board that seems to have solved the problem, at least for the time being, where now I'm hearing you again out of both headphones. So that letter that I wrote to the manufacturer, and that's a funny thing, right? You're telling them how lousy their product is, and then you're pleading with them to give you a new one.
Exactly. Why would you want another one of the same crappy product?
Speaking of pleading, before we even get going with all of the playoff activity that's taken place, and tonight's the night for anxiety, is it not? I mean, it's a pivotal game, too, in the hockey series involving our local team, the Florida Panthers. They lose this one, and you have to figure sayonara city, my friends. Sayonara. Are they the kind of team that could come back after losing 2 at home and win both games in Tampa? Not out of the question, but certainly wouldn't be looking good. Depending on the way that this game is contested, this will tell us a lot tonight. Sometimes, and you were saying this about the basketball, which was favorable to C1 with the Heat and the Celtics, because you thought, wow, the Heat look really good, and the Celtics, second half, not so good.
Yeah.
As they got smoked 22-2 at the beginning of the third quarter. Now, I would doubt that kind of scenario would play out again. Yeah. But the Heat now they were favored in game 1 by 1 and a hook. And after watching game 1, like a lot of people were on the same page as you were, Lubie, hey, let's see one. And I think that was fair. It wasn't like you were being a wimp. We really didn't know how these two teams are going to mix it up in the postseason. and it went very favorably for the Miami Heat. But they're now favored in this game by 3.5. 3.5.
Well,
Not an overwhelming favoritism, but favorites nonetheless.
After Horford and Smart were out, the line jumped to 4.5, and reports are Smart is probable, but again, we don't know what he'll be, and Horford's doubtful. And Horford has been huge for them. So that's a lot of it is after Robert Williams, they don't have any height. And if no Horford's in there, the Heat, it feels like could do a lot of what they did in the inside, getting to the basket, getting to the line. So that's probably why the line is where it is. I don't know. The Celtics, I think you're going to see a much better effort in the second half. I think we saw what the Heat can do. The problem is, can they sustain it? And I believe they can. I find hard to believe that they're going to go up 2-0. Like this series seems destined for 7.
All right. Very much in the Dusty Springfield mode there. Every other word out of your mouth was wishing and hoping and hoping and praying. Yeah, da, 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 da. Does anybody know what those lyrics are? Yeah, da, 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 da.
That I don't know. And I'll pull it
You
up.
should know that. I mean, Leslie Visser probably mouthing the words to it as we speak, saying, these are the words, you fool. By the way, I think Leslie wanted to see Marcus Smart just put a pair of sneakers on over that outfit or underneath that outfit that he was wearing to the game, which that's a strange one, right? When you have like the matching shorts with a dress shirt,
Yes.
sort of, not a dress shirt, but like a Tommy Bahama type of shirt.
It's like a lounge outfit. Yeah, it was like a lounge outfit.
He really looked like he just came in from the clubs, didn't he?
Yes, 100%.
Marcus Smart.
It was like South Beach for sure. Like
A huge component, though, man. I mean, he is the Swiss Army knife of that Celtic team. He can score if you need him to score. He can defend. He'll make plays that don't show up in the box score, where diving for a ball as it's going out of bounds and flicking it back into the court. And does all kinds of, it's right out of Steely Dan. A lot of singing on today's show. I must be in a good mood. I don't want to do your dirty work no more. But he'll get in there and do the dirty work, Marcus Smart. And not necessarily implying that he's a dirty player, but he will get in there and do all of that. You need that kind of catalyst in a series like this, especially when it's relatively even-Steven in terms of, I would think, I don't know, do the Celtics have a little bit more star power? Is that a fair statement? Jason Tatum would be the most recognizable figure, even with Jimmy Butler doing all these things. And did you catch this the other day? I didn't realize this. Jimmy Butler's featured in a commercial. I didn't know he had an ad. I don't know if that was one that was made by the NBA or it was an actual, commercial where some company had paid Jimmy Butler a lot of money for an endorsement. But and I don't know can't remember what the product was because the way commercials are made now, they're entertaining to watch, but you have no idea what they're advertising for. I mean, when McConaughey is driving that car off the cliff, do you know what kind of car it is? No.
At the end, you see the insignia, but and most people don't stay for the end. So, like, if you don't see the end, you have no idea no clue. None.
There was a real crappy one, and we were representing Deal Volvo for a while when our good friends over at Deal Volkswagen also owned a Volvo dealership. Not an uncommon pairing in the automotive industry for some reason. Volkswagen dealers and Volvo, which is kind of an odd mix, right? Two different countries manufacturing
Almost
cars.
Swedish. And Volkswagen's German. Yeah, I don't understand the tie-in, actually. But
I don't know why it is. I mean, maybe it's due to some kind of a shipping contract or whatever. But nonetheless, they had the Volvo dealership going for a long time. And in fact, Jersey Kyle bought a car there at the Volvo dealership, a previously owned vehicle. I wouldn't say he bought a car there. He stole the car. He really did.
Hoping I can do in the next year or so.
It wasn't unusual for the police to actually chase a guy off the lot there when you were buying a car at either of the dealerships owned by Deal, DEEL, which I have two vehicles. I couldn't be happier with, the two of them together are just as fine a collection of cars as I've ever had, right? You got the convertible Volkswagen Beetle, worth $10,000 more today than it was when the Mustang bought it. Talk about the proverbial little old lady from Pasadena that was driving a car and had a garage kept. Mustang's had this car now 5 years. I didn't realize it. You know how many miles are on this car?
10,000? Is there 10,000 on it?
10,000. She hit 10,000 the other day.
5 years.
2,000 miles a year. Not even, enough to burn a tank of gas.
Even now, when I drive not that much, I still do 10,000 a year.
10,000 a year. You do that going to Publix. I mean, the local grocery store.
10,000 in 5
and back. 10,000.
Oh my God.
She travels to the tennis courts and back, and various, she doesn't really drive when she's going to bars, so that's a good thing. I was out last night and came home as I was walking Skippy. Here come all the girls from the Barefoot Beach Villas, And surprisingly, they turned it in early. These girls usually cut it up until like 2, 3 in the morning. They were home by like 8:30
Wow,
on a
look at them.
girls' night out. What was that, Lubie? What was that? But anyway, the Volvo, Jersey Kyle, like stole one there at Deal Volvo. And remember, they had that crazy ad. They had a bunch of people in the car, and they were just talking in weird philosophical conversations. And then at the very end, they put up that it was like a Volvo. And I thought that could have been for anything. That could have been an ad for ketchup. What is it? Who's designing these commercials and
I love the
figuring that they're
jeans
good?
ones. Jeans ones are my favorite because they'll show a whole scene with a couple on the beach. They're having dinner. They're traveling to Europe, and then at the end, the woman will take the jeans off and throw them on a chair. And it's like, jeans?
The worst though are cologne spots, are they not? Or
They never talk
any
about
kind
the
of perfume or cologne?
They never talk about
You got Johnny Depp digging a grave in the
Yep.
desert somewhere, which he
Yep.
might have been digging his own grave. Maybe that
Yeah,
was symbolic of what's happening with this Amber Heard trial. Because, man, I mean, what's great about that trial? I think it's a giant waste of time. I really do. I mean,
100%.
maybe Depp deserves the $50 million. I'm not sure. Did Amber Heard curtail his career? Probably. He got
ended it.
zapped out of a couple of
She
movies
ended
there.
his career. No, she ended it. So yeah, no,
Yeah.
he has a case, but I agree with you. I don't understand why people care.
Oh, they care because it's terrific. And then on top of that, think about it. You have 2 actors on the stands.
Yes, isn't it
Could
great?
you ask for anything more in terms of drama? This is the only trial that looks anything like any of the TV law
Yes.
shows that you ever saw.
Yes. I thought about it the other day. I'm like, 'cause my wife loves it. She surely loves it. And I'm like, Shirley, watch a law show then. The law shows are way better. She's like, oh no, this is great. So I watch clips with her. I'm like, oh, it looks like a law show. Like that's why they like it. It looks like a law show. It's because whenever you watch a trial or you're
Yeah.
at a trial, it never looks like that. Like
Never. It's so boring. It's so pedantic. You're wondering how every person doesn't fry automatically,
yeah.
guilty or not. I was fascinated when Court TV was showing a lot of these trials, and I don't know if you remember this one, the Binion murder, where these 2 people had conspired. I guess it was Binion's girlfriend was with some other guy, and they conspired to kill the guy, and they did it. I mean, they whacked him, and they were trying to figure out how they could get to. He had buried like a bunch of silver in the desert out there by the neon sign burial grounds.
Mhm.
So their whole mission was to pilfer all of this silver that had been stashed by this. I would imagine that Binion, owner of Binion's Casino, which was one of the staples of the Las Vegas Strip for a long, long time. Now, I don't know. Does it even exist anymore, Binion's? I'm not sure.
I was going to ask you. Like,
Yeah, that had to be torn down and turned into some kind of deluxe hotel by now, because it was like a little dumpy place on the corner there. And you would go in there almost as an obligation of places to visit in Las Vegas.
On Fremont Street, Las Vegas, an address pops up, Binion's Gambling Hall.
Okay, it's a downtown area, which has been revitalized, by the way, which I don't know. Did you get down there when you were in Vegas, Lubie?
I went when I visited my buddy who lived there. I liked it with the lights in the street. Had like the lights in the middle of it. Like it was actually interesting. It was totally different than the Strip.
Yeah, the trials, though, I mean, it looked nothing like trials on TV. They took forever, and there were no dramatic objections. You didn't have like Paul Drake running into the courtroom there, the detective on the Perry Mason show at the last second with some information, and he whispers in the ear of Della Street, and she turns and whispers to Perry Mason, and Mason gets up and makes a brilliant dissertation and point to the judge, and the next thing you know, the guy stands up in the back of the courtroom and says, "I can't stand it anymore. I did it." They thought, why would that guy get up now? They were just about to take this guy to the chair.
It would never happen.
The boyfriend of your ex-wife who you had murdered and did it yourself. And you're now at the last second when you're off the hook, you have a moment of conscience.
Yeah, come on.
And conscience. And, you're conscious. I'm unconscious here at this moment. A moment of conscience is what I was looking for.
Yes,
But no, the trials, the actual trials look nothing like that. Just look at what's going on. Unfortunately, with this Nicholas Cruz life or death penalty, just a sentencing thing is going to take 6 months. They can't find any jurors that want to sit there for 6 months.
Well, yeah, that's one thing. And 2, who's unbiased?
Do you know anything about this case? Nah, never heard of it. Can you imagine?
South Florida.
Have you ever read anything about this Parkland school shooting? Nope. Don't know. Did anybody die?
And this is going to take, who's willing to be like, sure, I didn't want to take 3 days. I was in my head coming up with any way I could to get out of jury duty.
Yeah.
And that was going to be, they're like, it may take 2 days. I'm like, oh, I'm out. Like, who's going to do months? Like,
Oh, you start screaming expletives and racial epithets, whatever you can think of. Yeah. No, I got nothing against that. And then, you throw
yeah,
the N-word
exactly.
out there. Like, in fact, in general, I have nothing against. Okay, next.
Exactly.
I mean, you might damage your reputation if you happen to be in the media. That's probably not a favorable position to
not gonna
take.
do
But
that.
if it gets you out of jury duty, it's almost worth it. It really is. Not that I'm not a very
Your civic duty.
conscientious American. And I do believe, I'm not so sure that the jury system works out so well. Just look at the OJ jury. But, everybody deserves a fair shot. I certainly would appreciate that opportunity to be judged by a jury of my peers as opposed to, being Brittany Griner and going in front of some Russian judge. And the guy says, yeah, that 10 years is not enough to teach you a lesson.
Yeah.
For bringing those vapor cartridges into our country when you were playing basketball here. Wow. The world has really gotten, I mean, and there's no other way to put it, but, never mind Meshuggah. The world has really gotten pretty fucked up, which is why it's good to be in the sports department here and why we want to stay here. We're going to have the trivia challenge, a chance to win some prizes. Now, a couple of things happened last night. Golden State, blowout city over the Dallas Mavericks. Wasn't really overwhelmingly interested in that game for some reason, Lubie. Curiosity factor had me watching early. It did look like Golden State was controlling the pace of the game. And then it resulted in a blowout. The Dallas Mavericks getting blown out of the arena there in San Francisco. They lose the game, I think, by 25. 112-87. Yeah, that's 25 points.
Yes.
So they lose a game, and it was the biggest opening series game win by Golden State, I think, since Clifford Ray was playing center for the Golden State Warriors. They weren't the Golden State Warriors then. They were like San Francisco.
San Francisco Warriors, yeah.
Yeah, now they're Golden State, which encompasses a lot more. And I'm not a fan of not specifying the city or the area from which your team originates. I was never a fan of the name the Florida Marlins, right? Because we had another team in Florida, so why are they the Florida Marlins and Tampa Bay was the Tampa Bay Rays? And same thing, Florida Panthers, right?
Huizenga was sort of a narcissist.
Yeah.
They're going to be Florida, because remember, Florida didn't have teams, so it's like they're going to be Florida's teams, and everyone in Florida is going to root for them. And then like a year later, Tampa's like, no, we're getting our own team.
Like the Florida Dolphins, would sound stupid, wouldn't it?
Yeah, yes.
The Florida Heat.
Well, the Tampa Bay.
So why does it work for these two teams? Now, they did change the name because of that, Fugazi Stadium deal that they made, that David Sampson fleeced the city, and now he's talking about how onerous it is for David Beckham and the Moss brothers to try and do the same with the soccer stadium.
I love the David Sampson and Mike Tannenbaum coming out totally opposite of what they did when they had the job. If I had the job, you had the job. You didn't do that.
It's insane, isn't it? I mean, when you think about it, the David Sampson, Polyman pointed it out. He was the first guy, speaking of the trivia challenge. He said, can you believe this? I said, believe what? And he sent me some clips of David Sampson as a commentator, as a critical, overwhelmingly critical commentator of every other team in Major League Baseball when he had done everything in his power to sabotage any chance the team had of succeeding with the sole interest of he and Jeffrey Loria, who I don't even know if they put up any of their own money, right? Was this a Dave Daldano type of thing?
Yeah,
where they bought the team with other people's money? I think they did.
Yeah, I don't think it was 150 mil or something, and it wasn't theirs. Remember, it was like loaned or something because of something they had, a promise they had gotten for doing something they wanted with the Expos. So they were giving them a team, almost gifting them a team.
And the five guys that were partners with Loria with the Expos all of a sudden got completely hosed out of the deal. And, you had a guy, Jeffrey Loria, that was selling Dayglow Jesus paintings underneath the highway there, 595, right by the guy that had the honey from Virginia. As you were leaving the Hard Rock Hotel and you were going back home defeated and broke, and then you would drive by, and there was Jeffrey Loria selling those Dayglow Jesus paintings, which who buys those anyway?
I don't know.
What kind of religious zealot do you have to be to buy a Dayglow Jesus painting?
Jeffrey Loria.
There's a place in Hialeah when I'm on my way down to Hialeah Park that I always see. It's like a ceramic and tile place. Big place on the corner there on 103rd Street. And they have any number of like giant-sized ceramic Jesus statues, I guess you would call them. What would they be? Like porcelain Jesuses. And I'm thinking, what's the market for that? I mean, are you really going to put one like the old, remember when they used to have the old black jockey that was finally banned, and the people had the little jockey out in front of their house holding a lantern?
Yes.
Oh, that was ugliness. I mean, maybe suggestive of a society that was largely racist and probably still remains so to this date. A lot of political commentary mixed in here before we even get to like the second score of the evening. But Golden State, big. Everybody thinks Golden State's going to win the title now. Scoop Skolnick going to join us later on and talk about Ethan Scoop Skolnick Dynamite on the Miami Heat and basketball in general. 5 Reasons Sports Network, one of our partner platforms here with the Defo Show, and we really appreciate all of the steam that we've gotten over there. Thousands of viewers, Lubie, which is nice. I'm glad you caught on to that. But yeah, Scoop, says that Golden State, I didn't realize this. For some reason, I'm thinking like the Panthers, the Heat had home court advantage throughout the playoffs, but Golden State actually holds the edge there with the same record. They have the tiebreaker advantage, and so they would be, if a Heat Golden State series evolved, or whoever Golden State plays, whether it's the Heat or the Celtics, they would have home court for the final round, which I think is significant when you're talking about that kind of a schlep, Lubie. No, going all the way to the West Coast.
Yeah, I mean, the Heat are just better at home. I mean, the Heat and Warriors
undefeated at home in the playoffs, 7-0.
Tremendous home court advantages. So I would rather have, if they get past the Celtics, because I'm not just automatically assuming that, I would want home court 100%. And I think the Warriors are going to win regardless. But if the Heat have home court, I could see the Heat winning if it got to a game 7. If the Heat don't have home court, I would think the series ends in like.
All right, so you've already thrown in the towel on this whole thing.
I think the Warriors are the best team right now. I just think they are, and I think they're just hitting their stride.
And you labeled them as desperate because of Father Time.
Yep.
You say this is it, that they realize their destiny is, and this whole business of being a top team is about to end, that, you might have Steph Curry left. You're not sure about the future of Draymond Green. Klay Thompson doesn't appear to have 100% recovered from the injuries that kept him out of basketball for 2 years, even though he's playing well. Poole, though, has emerged as a star. And what about Wiggins? He's a forgotten guy because
He's an all-star.
He was deemed to be like a draft bust, wasn't he? Andrew Wiggins?
Yeah, he was an all-star.
All right. Playing good basketball. So they have enough components there to make you think that they would have an advantage over either, possibly, especially with home court, the Heat or the Celtics in that series. I would imagine Golden State would be favored over either of those teams. So, all right. So, what are you looking for tonight, Mike Lubitz? Before we get to Scoop Skolnick later on, and in just a few minutes, we'll conduct the trivia challenge here, Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge, brought to you by the great people in Hialeah Park. And you can dial us up on that. We always like it. Chronics, have dominated in the new version of the show, but that's okay with us because we respect the people that have followed us all along and supported us in every endeavor that we've done. So we don't mind playing a few chronics to decide the outcome of the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. 954, and the chronics know the number, so why am I giving it? 954-417-0070. It sounds like a bank account number, doesn't it? Or the phone number that you would have if you were like calling a racetrack, right? Gulfstream Park. Right? They usually have like a lot of zeros in the, as in, maybe there's symbolic, merit in that. A lot of zeros in the phone number, right? I think, I probably called every racetrack a million times. Hialeah Park, of course, is a great place to call on because if all you want to know is how late they're open at night, which, by the way, would be 3 a.m. tonight, 5 a.m. in the morning. Is that late enough for you, Lubie? Would you stay out to 5 a.m. gambling in a casino?
If I was in Vegas, 100%. Here, if it was Hialeah, I could see it.
Yeah.
If I had like a guy's
weekend. I think the move is you stay there till 5 a.m. punching away in the casino and then just go out to your car. I don't know if they are liberal about this, and then sleep the 4 hours till they open up the doors again and just continue the hot streak. Maybe even leave your voucher in the machine and your player's card so that you can, come right back out after sleeping off a couple hours. It'd be like the guys sleeping in the cabin there on Deadliest Catch, which I've become obsessed with. Although the show is essentially the same show after show, man. Hey, you got any crabs? And that's it. These guys are crazy, though. Those guys are flat out crazy. I don't care how much money you're making. That's the old thing, and we've mentioned this a few times where, everybody used to say, hey, would you get in the ring with Mike Tyson for $1 million and just take a punch? And I'm thinking, I don't know about that. Would you, Lubie? Yes. $1 million have Tyson, in his heyday, punch you straight in the nose.
Oh, in the nose, I don't know. See, that sucks. If I can find
your brains are going to end up in the third row.
Yeah, I don't
somewhere. The ring card girls will be, wiping the splattered remains of your inner cranium off of their pasties that they're wearing. Unbelievable.
Well, I can see punching me once, but punching me in the nose, that's like a lot. Like
Straight in the nose, man.
It's gonna be tough.
Right? And that nice Jewish nose. I mean, right in the nose, like you were Josh Rosen. Unbelievable. All right. Anyway, so you never decided there, and the Lubie entertaining callers already, which is good, man. I like the fact that you guys respond. But all right, so tonight's game, I'm not sure what I think. Grant Long, who was on our Believe podcast with us, the great Grant Long, original member of the Miami Heat, he stated without qualification that the Heat would win Game 1, and he thought Boston would prevail tonight over the Miami Heat in Game number 2. I do believe that it is prohibitive based on, as you mentioned, Lubie, correctly. So those are two key components to be missing. If Marcus Smart is not up to speed and Al Horford is definitely out of this ball game tonight. Kyle Lowry, I saw him taking some jumpers yesterday. I don't know if he returns. I'm not sure there's any need, to rush him back. If especially if you have both Smart and Horford out for this game, you have to think the Heat have a big edge in that one, maybe even worthy of laying the 3 in a hook. So I'm going to say Heat tonight. Continue to roll, and there you go. You Celtic fans should be encouraged by that, emboldened by that, to go ahead and bet your entire savings. Boston money line. Don't even worry about the 3.5, because I have a feeling. I got a feeling deep inside that the Heat will be 8-0 at home after tonight's playoff game. Maybe more contentious in the second half, I would imagine.
I have no idea. I'm rooting Heat, of course. I don't know, because I actually agree with Grant. Since this is sort of make or break if you're the Celtics. The Heat not only have the home court, but if they go 2-0, they are good on the road as well. The Celtics, because Lowry at some point is going to come back, so you'll get an extra day. I think Lowry will come back for that Game 3. You're the Celtics. You have to win this game. So I won't pick against the Heat because of the way we saw them play in the second half. But I'm not picking for them. I'm actually super non-committal on today. I have no idea how this game's going to go.
All right, so you're saying it's must win.
For the Celtics, yes. 100%. Yeah. Celtics,
right. And then the Panthers obviously are a must win. So both games would then be deemed to be pivotal.
Yes.
And as Mike Mayo likes to reference, it'll boil down to who wants it more.
There you go. And
there's our analysis.
You know what? For the moment best.
You don't need to tune into any other sports shows for analysis. We just laid it out there for you. Must win, pivotal, who wants it more?
That's it.
That's the playoffs. And, every guy that's on TV spieling, until his guts are coming out. You don't need Screaming A. Smith to tell you, it's must win, it's pivotal, and who wants it more? You just tune in the Defo Show, and very calm, casual Mike Lubitz and me. And I will tell you that, that's what it boils down to. Who wants it more? Yeah, it really does. All right, it'll be who wants it more in the trivia challenge. The hockey last night, kind of wild. A record set, a playoff record set by the Calgary Flames, who many people feel many of the analysts that I saw thought were going to win, even over Colorado. They were going to win the Stanley Cup this year, the Calgary Flames. They look great. Inside of the first minute, Lubie, they're up 2-0. How about that?
Yeah, when I turned it on, it was 3-1 halfway through the first.
Same here.
What the hell?
And then turned out, I guess it was either 51 or 53 seconds. They scored the 2 goals right at the top of the game, which, how disgusting is that? You haven't even sat down yet. You just bought like $32 for 2 beers.
Yeah, exactly.
And, you haven't even taken a bite of your hot dog yet. And you're down 2-0, and the same goalie's still in the pipes. Oh, or did they pull the starter after that?
No,
I'm not sure. Because the guy with the long hair seemed like a really decent guy who clinched. He had a dynamite game as they won the previous series and won it in 7 games. I think he pitched a shutout. They won that game 2-0, I want to say. They had a shot of him on the bench. I would imagine he would have started right back. So did they yank him after the first couple of goals? Possibly so. So anyway, that's the way that ended up. The Calgary Flames ended up 9-6 winners last night. Wild game, 15 goals. And the Rangers, wow, you talk about tough luck, Mike Lubitz. A little of my almost spit up, and threw up all over my Ron Gilbert jersey because, wow, they were up 1-0, and there's like 2 minutes to go in a game, and they give up a goal to tie the game, and they lose the thing in overtime to the Carolina Hurricanes, who many people feel also we're in there with an excellent shot to win the Stanley Cup. All right, we saw Dave Gurgles Gurgley pop up there. Let's bring Gurgles back in here, and we'll get the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge underway in just a few moments. But first off, Gurgles, and we welcome Dave Gurgles Gurgley to the show. How are you, my friend?
This should say it all right here.
Oh, look at that.
This is not
PGA.
This is not this. It's not the Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
What happened last Saturday? I was coming to the golf course on my day off before a trip to a pari-mutuel, and one of the teams was missing a guy for the Miami Lakes Challenge. I had a pair of Skechers, some shorts, a shirt with a collar. He said, "Why don't you join us?" I joined him. We shot 15 under. I won the trophy and then $100. So it was a nice finish.
Not that fraud community or whatever that was that was holding a tournament?
No. This was our own members.
I would check
our
to
own
see
members.
if the cup is real. Yeah.
No, it was our own members, and it was a unique format for you golfers out there. Best 1 of 4 on the par 5s, best 2 of 4 shots on the par 4s, and best 3 of 4 on the par 3s. So kind of a make or break it system. We shot 15 under. I was at the races when the pro texted me a picture of this beautiful trophy, and we ended up a winner. Quite a surprise to me.
How's your game lately, Dave? I don't know that you've been playing. You're so busy with.
I have not been playing. As a matter of fact, on 4 of the holes, I hit it in the water, and I just took pom poms to the green and rooted for the rest of the guys on the team. I had good players with me.
15 under. Who else was on your team? Was Greg Norman on your team? I mean, explaining
one of
how
the
great it
members
is
who's
to be a Saudi?
one of the members who's a 0 handicap, and then another guy who's a 23, and another guy who's a 17. And they just made some putts and then chipped one in for eagle. So it was a very fortuitous day, and I was there in absentia. But I did get the trophy, and it was loaded with some $20 bills as well. So that made it even better. But how about I thought you would say coming on that if you like the Heat, you were going to backwheel the Celtics in tonight's game.
I thought about that. I backwheeled them in the series. I forgot to backwheel Epicenter, of course.
Well, we won't go into that.
At Hialeah Park, and I'm tempted to do it again. Although I'm capitulating to, and it all depends on whether my dog on his morning walk on Saturday takes what significant level of dump he takes, because I think that will determine whether I go all in on the 9-ball Skippy Longstocking. The Longstocking
that's
part.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I have to leave out the Longstocking part. I can't see any tie in there with my dog. There's no significant markings there. It's not like, he has like a white spot on his head or something, but which he does. But, it wouldn't make any sense, the Longstocking. But the fact that Skippy is a Safi Joseph, do you know anything about this horse? I mean, did he run a Gulfstream? I'm assuming he was racing down here. Skippy Longstocking.
I've got the past performances in there, but my horse is Simplification. I'm going with Johnny V. Jose Ortiz jumps off to ride early voting. I'm going to go to Simplification because I think he can stalk and be in a great spot. And I think Johnny V's that kind of class rider that might just jump up at maybe 6-1 and win this thing.
Is that the 2-ball in this race?
I think it's the 1, Simplification.
Oh, the 1, Simplification. All right. There's my friend Piscataway Ray, who I have a $100 partnership with, which I had laid out the deuce for the Derby bets. So this one's kind of like a freebie. I look at it that way for me, because he's got to put up to 200 for whatever we bet. And it's not the kind of race where you can spread out all over the place like you can in the Derby. So, you kind of have to zero in on somebody. And he likes the 2. Give me the 2. And that was his thought. And I'm thinking, wow, if this horse is 10-1, why not just bet the whole 200 to win on the 2-ball? And maybe a slight hedge off with exactas up and down, but the 2 is his choice. At least that's the early consideration.
For you right now.
I'm all in on Skippy Longstocking.
Right
that's what we have to go.
The 2 is Creative Minister, the horse that they supplemented for $160,000. You're exactly right.
The 2-ball,
and Skippy Longstocking has been running at Gulfstream, ran an Aqueduct in the Wood and finished 3rd, right behind Mo Donegal, my Belmont pick, and early voting. So Skippy Longstock, and he's got Junior Alvarado. He's got a shot.
No, I think he wins it, Dave. I mean, I would go ahead and book all the action against him while I'm at it, and then send all of that money in on Skippy Longstocking. He's going to go off 3-5. It's going to be as if Mattress Mac had a dog named Skippy. But anyway, now are you involved? I mean, I would imagine the membership talks a little bit about the PGA tournament that's coming up, which I got in the pool again. And I used like pretty much all of the favorites, although nobody is talking about Dustin Johnson for some reason. Is it because he finally tied the knot with Paulina Gretzky, and everybody knows that as soon as she says I do, your entire life goes south? So Dustin Johnson, would he not have a shot? Long hitter. I'm assuming this course in Oklahoma favors guys that can hit the crap out of the ball there. That you want to be like Aaron Judge when you have the driver in your hand. And nobody's mentioning him. A lot of people like Jordan Spieth in this thing. Justin Thomas. I mean, it's the usual suspects being mentioned as winners, and I might even take a small sniff, although it's a little too late now that the tournament's about to get underway. But I like Shane Lowry a little bit, man. He's been very consistent. Maybe he sneaks in there and wins one. Hey, and he has long odds, like 35, 40 to 1, something like that.
I'm a Colin Maracara fan. That's who I like.
I like that kid.
He's a steady player. He's been off his game a little bit, but I think he certainly could do that. And Jordan Spieth, I think, had a great tournament last week, and I think he's rounding into form. I would bet against him myself personally. I'd go with Colin. Xander Schauffele would be a big price as well, or a fair price.
Yeah. I think I used Patrick Cantlay as one of my picks. Scheffler, of course, you had to throw him in there. But this was in a pool where you had to pick guys off of various lists, and you couldn't have all of the top names because I think Spieth, DJ, and Justin Thomas were all on the same list. And so, out of those three, I don't know why. I took a flyer on Dustin Johnson, so he'll probably be 6 over at the turn today. And you can tear up all of your tickets. All right, so you have your Preakness pick. You've given us a PGA pick. You want to analyze the French Open while you're at it, Dave Gurgles Gurgly?
No
choice there? All right.
Andre Lacoste. I like Andre Lacoste. Oh no, that's the shirt. I'm sorry. Yeah.
You see that little alligator? The guy's getting paid handsomely because nobody else wears that shirt anymore. 2 players, right? They're on there advertising or representing that brand. All right. How do you feel about today's questions on the trivia challenge? Are you confident that these are real brain busters? Yeah.
I got some good ones. Yeah, we're ready for the boys.
Okay, very good. And we'll have that going in just a few moments here on the show. So stick around. Hialeah Park, of course, Dave and I, and Lubie, too, can talk about this all day long because it's absolutely fantastic. And we love it down there. You're going to get a great vibe when you walk into the casino. There's something, Dave, and, you're inclined to kind of, go into your own little shell there and, stay to yourself unless somebody is about to mow down one of your horses, in which case you were screaming at the top of your lungs and acting like a maniac. But
screw your 5 horse. That's
yeah. Go to hell with your 5. But that Latin vibe kind of, makes you want to just be a part of what everybody else is doing. I mean, you really get into it. A very exciting place to watch the races there at Champion Simulcasting Room.
Yeah, and this Friday, obviously, the first post I think at Pimlico is 11:30, so they should be opening promptly at 11. And then Saturday it's a 10:30 post, so we'll have to check with Hialeah. They'll probably be open 9:30 at that time. So I would go there early. The casino opens at 9. Why not go to the casino, build your bankroll a little bit, then stroll over to the simulcast? If you lose a couple bucks, go back to the casino and rebuild. By all means, that's the best thing about Hialeah. Just walk from the Parimutuel right to the casino.
And I walk outside and get that great feeling that you do when you've sort of stepped off the planet and into some kind of Thoreau-type utopia. And you're looking around going, wow, the earth really is beautiful. It's hard to tell if you're just watching the local news these days or, having a guy put a gun to your head at the gas pump and saying, you want me to fill it up? Just blow my brains out. I'd be better off. Hialeah Park, absolutely fabulous place, great entertainment destination. You guys are going to love it. We say it all the time here, and it's really true. The fact that this crew has been together for a long, long time and operate essentially as family gives you the feeling that you're part of the family there at Hialeah Park. Get a player's card, you really feel like part of the family. As you feel like, Ma, I need money. They're just handing you like free cash all the time to use in the casino slot machine. Steve Calabro does a great job there. It was great seeing John Brunetti Jr. at the fights, looking good. And, of course, Steve Brunetti, I think, might be traveling the world, this guy. I mean, based on his social media posts. I don't know if you're friends with Steve on social media, but he's at the Derby. He's in Paris. He's in Rome. Absolutely fantastic. Great people. Been doing a good thing for a long, long time. So check it out for yourself and plan a visit to beautiful Hialeah Park. Speaking of Hialeah Park, we're going to visit there, at least on some kind of mental plane. The Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge is coming up here in just a moment. Dave has the questions. The phone number, Lubie's going to be handling your calls, 954-417-0070. We have a fabulous prize to give away, and that's a Landlubber's gift certificate That would be the place to watch this action tonight. Solves the problem of
Yep.
Heat over here, Panthers here, Heat over here, and then baseball and all the other stuff that you're betting on, because it's a degenerate stream there. Sufreen,
Yes. So on Tuesday.
he gets it, right? Because he bets his own money. He gets it.
He's betting with a buddy each game. They're betting the entire series, but they're betting each game of the entire series. And some cocker made me bet. He tried to explain to me that I really didn't understand. I was like, yep, that sounds about right for you.
He's the kind of guy that's betting that there would be no scoring in the hockey game before the 10-minute
100%.
mark of the first period, right?
Yes.
Goose eggs on the board, I think that's called. All right, we'll come back with Dave Gurgles Gurgley and the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge, 954-417-0070. He's Mike Lubie Lubitz. I'm Jeff Deforrest. That's Dave, and we're coming back with more in a moment. Now that.
The time.
It's 7:41. Poker is your game. You're covered in style. And you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette, in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers, Raw Bar, and Grill in the Plantation location, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers, Raw Bar, and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
Catholic Health Services is committed to care that changes as your needs do. Our full continuum of services is designed to be there throughout your care journey. If you need assistance with daily living, post-acute care following a serious health event, or additional medical care at home, we also offer skilled nursing and palliative and hospice care. Your care needs may change, but our commitment never does. Catholic Health Services, South Florida's #1 choice for post-acute and end-of-life care. Visit CatholicHealthServices.org.
Oh, Solo Volante will be coming late. Oh, Solo Volante. The Belmont's now 1 mile and an 8. The finish line is coming up quick. Luca Panici just switch
the only way to get your morning started is with Defo, joined by Lubie, right here on the Defo Show.
Welcome back to the show. And once again, everybody. Tomorrow on the program, our Degenerate Friday program, will feature about 7:20 in the morning Eastern Time, the lovely and very astute and intuitive Caitlin Bradar from TVG will join us to help us analyze the Preakness from maybe a little bit more of an intellectual position than just seeing my dog and hoping that he takes a dump on Saturday morning and gives it the signal.
A tad bit.
Although that worked that time, right? With
It
Flemish Cap.
It
The
did.
entire track was in on it. We were the only guys that didn't make money on that thing. Jersey Kyle sniffed that one out with a brilliant degenerate deduction. And he, realized that the fact that my 2 dogs had taken a crap on different floors of my townhouse probably was a symbol that something involving a thought or a connection to me was going to evolve at the track that day. Find a horse with a name that I am to be associated with, and it was Flemish Cap, of course, my favorite reference
Reference all the time.
about if you're absolutely about to lose your mind and do something completely stupid that can only result in negativity, let's all go to the Flemish Cap and go fishing, right? Didn't work out so well for Clooney that day, and with my new obsession with watching replays of Deadliest Catch, I don't even know if I could eat crab again anytime in my lifetime after watching these guys, man. You talk about some guys that have some guts going out there to make some money. That is crazy. All right, we're ready for the Trivia Challenge, Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge, brought to you by the great people at Hialeah Park. Dave Gurgles Gurgley is going to fire off some questions. You guys call in at 954-417-0070. We're set to go. And so in tribute to the man who delivered that brilliant operatic oration about Luca Panici. What was that, a couple of years ago? Luca had him out in the Belmont?
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't
Solo
remember the name of the
Volante.
horse.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Solo Volante.
Solo
yeah.
Volante.
It was in
Solo
the
Volante.
song there. And I was so excited for him. And, it was a big deal for Luca Panici, a local jockey who, when the big boys come to town, Luca gets his share of wins. But it's very slim pickings when you're going against the jockey colony that comes south for the wintertime here for the championship meet at Gulfstream Park. And the fact he got into the Belmont there was, or was it the Belmont or the Derby? I think he was in the Belmont, was he not, with Solo Volante?
Yes. Yeah.
Didn't do too well. And, I did suggest that Luca lose my number, after he finished a non-menacing sixth or whatever that was in like a 7-horse field. But anyway, Solo Volante was the horse, and you guys will be singing all about, possible winners and over at Landlubbers if you're lucky enough to win the game. So as tribute to the Polyman who delivered that great rendition of the song, and, you're trying to think, what was going to rhyme with Panici, and he somehow worked it out. Right? Just absolutely fantastic job by the Polyman, who has very, variety of talents in that area. Here we go. We're going to pay tribute to the Polyman. And Dave, start us out with the traditional fashion. And
Easy baseball.
Yeah.
Easy baseball. This late-night host on America's Pastime once quipped, I heard doctors revived a man who had been dead for 4.5 minutes. When they asked him what it was like being dead, he said, it was like listening to Yankees announcer Phil Rizzuto during a rain delay. What's that? David Letterman, George Fenneman, Harvey Korman, or Nick Workman?
And DeVille Scalapini last night. He was great, Phil Rizzuto. I loved him. Oh, mamma mia. All right, here's a random phone scrambler, and we have Mike to start out the game. Mike, you're on the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. Good morning.
Hey.
Hey, correct.
And,
good job.
And may I announce my 47th wedding anniversary today?
Oh, that's tough.
Oh, congratulations.
How many women?
How many women? How many women?
Oh, because I have, I think now I got about 23 years in, but it's, divided by 3.
3 women.
Very much up in question again. All right, so you have 1 point. You're in the game. Congratulations on that. 47 years, same person. That's not easy to do.
I love that.
Good for you. Good for you,
Tough to live with
All
yourself for 47 years, isn't it, Gurgles? I mean, come on.
Ooh, you're right. That's when I'm schizophrenic.
Freaked
All
out.
right.
Freaked out.
True or false? Horse racing, Mike, with the Preakness coming up. Because the black-eyed Susan is the official flower for the state of Maryland, and it doesn't sprout until June, believe it or not, artists must instead paint the center of the daisies black to put the ring around the horse of the winner. True or false?
Wow.
I'm going to say false on that.
Me too.
No, that's true.
That's true?
That's
Oh,
true.
wow.
Doesn't sprout till June. They have to paint those daisies on the flowers. You'll see it.
Nothing is real anymore. You know that, Dave? It's really a shame. Nothing is real. They got the birds chirping in the background there at the Masters. They're not real. And the flowers at the Preakness. My Lord. All right. I was fooled also, Mike. So, that puts you obviously in some very weak company. 1 going for 4.
All right, let's switch to basketball, Mike. The Miami Heat. Which year did the Miami Heat first defeat the Celtics to advance to the next round of the playoffs?
All right.
Was that 2010, 2015, 2003, or 2011?
Oh, God.
Could be all of the above.
2003.
2003.
That's a good guess because they won the championship. But believe it or not, in 2011, they beat them to advance the Eastern Conference Finals 4-1.
Yep.
Oh, remember those Knicks Heat series where the
was the
final was like
90s.
71-69? I mean, what happened there? Now that's a halftime score.
Yep.
Amazing. And that's while a team is shooting 3 for 21 from 3-point range, and they just keep chucking. Boom. You would have gotten beaten up, Dave, if you kept taking shots after going 3 for 21 from like 30 feet away.
No doubt about it.
Finishing the ball.
No doubt about it.
Although Gurgle's a very effective globetrotter type of player with a wide array of talents, including shooting free throws from his knees while blindfolded and making. All right, here's your 5-point
Not
question. We'll
blindfolded.
see if you can do something along those lines right here, Mike, and pull this one out.
All right, this is dedicated to the lovely and talented Leslie Visser, who, after I told her that every horse that won started with an S was the most winners in the Derby, she had me bet every horse that started with S, and instead of Rich Strike, it should have been Strike and Rich, and we would have.
Yes.
Anyway, Preakness. Which letter has the most Preakness winners' names started with?
Wow. Where did you find this
S.
stuff?
Yeah, where do you get this?
That's a story.
Sounds like
of
it
the
came
show.
from the
All
same
right.
source. And will you have this question for the Belmont also? I think so.
Well, no, we'll wait and see. All right. Was it S? Was it B? Was it C? Or was it D? The first letter of the most winners of the Preakness. Did it begin with S, B, C, or D?
Let's say B.
B.
No,
Nope.
B is close. There were 16 of them, but the letter C, with the most recent being cloud computing in 2017. B would have been if you would have counted B for all three of them, but no, the letter C was the one.
Well, good try, Mike.
All right.
Hang on, you may.
Very good there. So, has it been since 2017 that I've owed you the $40 that Segreto bet with you?
I forget.
did
That
that
was a
ever get
derby.
squared
I
on?
don't know.
Because it was cloud computed that Hank Goldberg, it was like 10-1, gave Tony to bet that day, and he called me to make the bet. And of course, I didn't want to sacrifice any of my existing bankroll to bet some other guy's losing horse, and then the horse won. And he got split in the exacta. I would have owed the guy $2,500.
Wow.
I never was rooting so hard for a horse to lose a photo. That's when I booked Segreto's $20 exacta box, and he got shaved by a nose hair for second position. All right, Perdomo cigars, always a good thing to have one handy. I saw somebody yesterday, my friend Bob. I was on my walk of life. I ran into a guy, and he had a bunch of cigars, and I said, hey, well, what'd you have, a baby? And he said, no, I just love Perdomo cigars, and they were a bag full of Perdomos.
And most people do. Actually, out here at Miami Lakes Golf Club, the former owner of Oliva Cigars lives on the 5th hole. And once in a while, I go by and goes, "Hey, Dave, you want a cigar?" I said, "I'm a Perdomo man."
Wow.
Just like our late great friend, the Mad Dog, used to say, "Whose bread I eat, their song I sing." Well, Perdomo Cigars is the perfect cigar for you. They make them perfect one at a time, Cuban seed tobacco grown in Nicaragua, and they're located very conveniently right off the Palmetto and 57th Avenue. 5150 Northwest 167th Street. The exact address, open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. 305-627-6700, the number to call. And guess what's coming up, folks? It is, 3 weeks now? No, maybe a month till Father's Day. And why not go to Perdomo, get a gift card, get them a humidor, or get them a selection of cigars. Lauren, the lovely Nick Jr.'s wife, is right at the desk. She'll help you. Nick himself will come into the humidor, explain the perfect cigar for your father, your brother, or your grandfather, or even your son if you're a father whose son smoked Perdomo cigars. You can't beat them. 305-627-6700. This weekend, while you're watching the PGA or you're watching the Preakness, why not get a great Perdomo cigar? And if it's on a Saturday or Sunday, no problem. www.perdomocigars.com to find a retailer near you that sells these great cigars. So when simplification with Johnny V crosses that line first, put something great in your mouth with a cigar from Perdomo Cigars.
My dad had a saying that he liked to quote, and he thought it really epitomized what life is all about, related to bread, as you were talking about with the great Jim Mad Dog Manich. And his thing was, and if you ask my father, hey, what is life really all about, Dad? I mean, you've been around longer than I have. You've done a lot of different things, man of multi-talents, and very internationally connected in terms of your taste and things. And he said, here it is in a nutshell. Cast ye bread upon the water, and ye shall get back soggy bread. Which could it epitomize what this plane is all about any more succinctly? Cast ye bread upon the water, and ye shall get back soggy bread. Just remember that, people. All right, we're going to come back and play many more here before Dave, concludes this game of the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. And then Scoop Skolnick, you talk about in-depth basketball analysis. Scoop Skolnick, brilliant on the Miami Heat, and we'll have his thinking on the Heat Celtics game, and also I guess we'll touch on Golden State, whether or not they're a concession to just win it all this year, and I guess somewhat of a surprise, no? Golden State from the early season prognosticators. Yeah.
From coming off last year, they sort of took a dip. They were fighting for the 8th seed and then just miss it, or were in the play-in tournament, to being a team that was in the top 3 all year. Yeah.
So why didn't we bet them then? Why are we betting them now?
We didn't know.
Because we're stupid. You're stupid. Degenerate Friday tomorrow with Kate and Brayner also. That's going to be a lot of fun, and we'll have her dissection there of the Preakness Stakes, which she's always brilliant, although I don't think she was anywhere near the winner. She
well, no one was.
She liked that, what was that knife horse? Cyberknife.
She liked Cyberknife. The Japanese horse, which did make a nice little run at the end.
Barber Road really wasn't that bad. I had a horrible trip. Was like dead last coming off the turn, and then I'm looking, I'm sitting with Lubie going, it's him, that's the 14.
Yes, I know.
And he was making what looked like a bold move, but then in the final analysis there, when they all crossed the wire, might have needed a search warrant to find it. All right, coming back, more of the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge here on Channel. Jeff DeForrest, Mike Lubie, Lubitz, Dave Gurgly, Scoop Skolnick around 8:35 on Oops. And we'll come back and play many more, 954-417-0070 in a moment. Now that. The time! 7:56.
Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. You're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. Good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs unmatched. Steaks hand cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
Any time of year, things can happen to your home or business, and the insurance company can be your friend, but they also can be your enemy. Horizon Public Adjusters, Justina Testa, are here for you to help this process go so much easier. 7 to 10 times more money recovered with a public adjuster than if you went on your own. If there's no recovery, there's no fee. Before you call your insurance company, call Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa at 954-809-8752.
The lovely Debbie Boone. I mean, I'm sure you've talked about this a zillion times, what the song You Light Up My Life meant to you and your career, and kind of where it stands in your heart today.
Well, when I first heard, I knew it was a good song. I wasn't excited by it, but I just thought if somebody wants me to go into a recording studio and sing Happy Birthday, I'll do it.
The modern day odd couple, Defo and Lubie, are on now. It is, of course, the Defo Show.
Welcome back to the show, a Thursday edition of the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge on the Defo Show here on Channel. Jeff DeForest, Michael Lubie, Lubitz, the great Dave Gurgly, the Polyman. You'll find the surprising Dave has vowed once again to return shortly to the program. He says many of the issues that he was dealing with are clearing up, and he's having just outright moment of clairvoyance at this point. And I don't know, he hasn't come up with a Preakness prediction yet, as I think he was disappointed that Barber Road didn't get rolling until very late in that Kentucky Derby race. But he has vowed to rejoin the program sometime in the very, very, near future. So we're looking forward to that. In the meantime, we'll carry on, and we're ready to go. Next set of questions here. Scoop Skolnick coming your way on buckets at 8:35. He should be, known as, like Jimmy Buckets, if his name was Jimmy, because he knows his hoops, Scoop Skolnick. So you're going to enjoy that, I think. Always good. He kind of fascinates me because you and I, Gurgles, you can dive deeply into especially obscure players from the distant past in the NBA. And then Scoop will name the rest of the players that were on that Knicks bench or whatever, or like Hawthorne Wingo was playing. You're like, wow.
Yes, all right.
I was struggling to come up with Wingo. All right, let's get it going again, and we'll play this out to its conclusion. So dial us up, 954-417-0070. Dave, toss out our next set of questions.
NFL football. This Bears coach on quarterback Jim McMahon's recent medical issues said, well, the shoulder surgery was a success. The lobotomy failed, though. What's that? Mike Ditka, Brooks Koepka, Brooks Robinson, or here's to you, Mrs. Robinson?
Successful shoulder surgery was always a nightmare, more so than the Detroit Red Wings were for any sportscaster. Successful shoulder surgery he underwent yesterday. Now, have you ever heard a guy get up, a doctor after one of these sports injuries or treated by surgery and say, oh, man, did we screw this guy up? He'll never pitch again. He'll be lucky to walk. There was nothing wrong with his legs when he went into the operating room.
Always went well.
It's successful. Yeah, deemed to be successful. All right. Speaking of successful, wow. I mean, it's nice to know a guy with a distinguished acting career with many credits. And, you'll be watching TV late at night one night, and there he is. He pops up in a commercial. The great Pat Fox joins us here on the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. How are you, Pat?
Hey, guys. Hey.
Hey, it's correct. How's that thing healing up there? You had that little schmenctum on your face there, which we want. Yeah.
I'm all healed up.
Oh, good.
Little scar.
Beautiful.
Very
Nice.
tiny one.
All right.
Yeah, I'm healed.
It'll add character for those auditions you go on. That'll be great. All right, you have 1 point. You're in the game. Congratulations, my friend.
Matter of fact, last night I thought I saw Pat on an episode of the Rockford Files with Angel Martin stealing money from him in some kind of fraud thing. I don't know. It might have been Pat. All right.
May have been me.
All right. True or false, Pat? Golf. PGA golfer Stuart Sink, who made a hole-in-one at the Masters, believe it or not, has a rather unique nickname on the tour. Stuart Sink's nickname is Kitchen.
Kitchen.
True or false?
Oh, Jesus.
It sounds so good. I'll say true.
Has to be true.
It is true.
Yeah.
That's right. Well done, Pat. Yeah.
Kitchen sink. Yeah, no, that makes sense. A guy that occasionally, like after you've written him off as, finished, comes up and has a big tournament. Or at least a couple of rounds. Where do you think Tiger Woods is going to end up in this thing, Dave Gurgly, if you had to speculate? PGA's playing.
I think he'll be watching the third round on television.
Oh, yeah?
Agree. Yep.
Yeah.
I think he's teeing it up with like McIlroy and Spieth. Is that possible? That's the threesome going on about 9 o'clock this morning. You think they'll get much attention on the network coverage?
Yes.
I would think so. Yeah.
Isn't it ironic how Tiger Woods had such bad publicity and bad vibe?
Yeah.
Now with the way Mickelson put his foot in his mouth, Tiger Woods seems like the good guy.
Yep.
He's the voice of reason now, I liked when he was trying to explain away Rachel Yucatel. That was still my favorite Tiger Woods press conference of all of the smug answers we got from Tiger when he was just an outright prick, even though, he doesn't have to be the world's greatest human being. He seems like, though, he's had a little bit of a transformation, no? Unless he's just a great actor, unless he's Amber Heard. He's had a vital transformation of sorts and seems to be genuinely okay with things. So anyway, we have the 3-point question coming up for Pat here. He has 2 points.
Here we go, Pat. Baseball. Which major league team is the only one that has never had a player hit for the cycle?
All right.
The Angels, the Brewers, the Nationals, or the Marlins?
Go with the Nationals.
I think it's the Marlins.
We're going to have to go far to provide this answer. The Marlins is exactly correct.
Oh, it's funny. Yelich now has had 3 since he's been aboard.
That would be
All
another
against
question.
the Reds.
Is that the follow-up? Yelich with 3
against the
cycles
Reds.
accounted for, tied a record of, I think, 3 other guys. That might have, I was going to work that out. If you weren't going to make it today, that was going to be one of my questions. Who are the, which of the following is not one of those 3 guys? All right. That could be the next question, Pat, but you're in there with 2 points going for 7.
No, but we'll do a not question on this one.
All right.
Sticking with the Preakness. Since 1990, only 4 horses have won the Preakness and the Belmont, but not the Derby.
Hit that
But
again.
not the Derby. Okay. Since 1990, only 4 horses won the Preakness and the Belmont, but not the Derby. Which of the following was not one of those? A double knot. So,
double knot
which of the
question.
following did
That
not
makes it
fit
a
into
positive.
winning the Preakness and the Belmont, but not the Derby? Okay, here we go. Here we go. Cloud Computing, Hansel, Tabasco Cat, or a Fleet Alex? Which had won the Preakness and the Belmont, but not the Derby?
Go with C.
C.
No, it was Cloud Computing, the aforementioned.
Wow.
Tabasco Cat did it in 94, Fleet Alex 2005, Hansel in 91, and Point Given in 2001.
Pat, you may be in the finals, my friend.
Sorry, Pat.
Every time you mention a cloud computing race now, 2017,
Yeah,
I
there's
can
a
picture
reason. There's
the
a
horror that came across my face there as Segredo's other horse was flying into the exacta. And I'm like, I never rooted so hard. I booked the guy's bet. How stupid. And you know that Tony Segreto is one of these guys with serendipitous luck. You know, where I would have lost that photo, he's the kind of guy that wins it for sure. All right, we'll play some more guys here. Dave with us on the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. Hialeah Park, great place to go any time of the day or night. Open until 3 a.m. on the weeknights and 5 a.m. on the weekends. Great vibe in there. The boxing was terrific. I haven't heard from Frankie yet if they're going to do that again. I don't know if they go right into plans to do it again because it's so exhausting the way with the meticulous attention to detail, and they make it such a good time for everybody, these boxing nights. But wow, I would imagine there'll be another round or many rounds of boxing contested sometime in the very near future. So we'll keep you posted on that, because you would have to say, Lubie, that had to be a successful night for Hialeah Park, no?
Oh, it was packed. We had a blast. Yeah. Fights went off really well. Like, I was out of the first early ones that Frankie wasn't even really including in the card. From that moment when he's like, this is where the card starts, every single fight, the next 5 or 6 were legit. Like, either had a guy who was legit and you could see going to another level, or the fight itself was really good. Like, I had a blast.
Yeah. They tried to, showcase a couple of guys there in the first 2 prelims. So, which, guy's in his first, second fight. He's in there against some veteran guy who can go a bunch of rounds and, isn't going to win the fight, but, is going to, at least at times, fire back and, make the guy work a little bit. Not bad to get those guys experience. But you're right, man. From the time that guy with the snakeskin shorts came in there, whose name I haven't figured out yet, wow, that kid was good, man. He was Leo Santa Cruz Jr. That double left hook to the body is always a sign that a guy, really has it when they can execute that move with the kind of snap this guy had on his punches. And he ultimately knocked the guy out with an early round body shot that took him out. That kid had talent. He was like 6-0. So we'll have to figure out who he is and bet him the rest of his fights. All right. We have nobody with a total worthy of being in the finals, which means we'll probably have to circle back to one of our previous contestants, and we'll try and squeeze in a few more before we hit the wire here in the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge portion of the show. So let's get right back into it. Dave Gurgles Gurgley, the phone number, 954-417-0070. And our next set of questions, the great Dave Gurgles Gurgley.
All right, you talked about Hialeah and their boxing card. Let's go with boxing.
Very nice.
This unabashed heavyweight champion, asked by a reporter to assess his upcoming opponent, George Foreman, said, I don't know. I've seen George shadow box and the shadow won. What's that? Muhammad Ali, Good Golly, Miss Molly, Hello Dolly, or Fulton's Folly?
All right, we're going to roll the Ranophone Scrambler to determine our next player. Hey, it lands on wow. This will be a surprise to you, Dave, and maybe you too, Lubie. Lenny the Chronic.
Wow.
Lenny, how are you?
Hey, I'm good. How you doing, guys?
We're doing great. I did want to pay tribute to our good friend Brad Jacobs of now Top Rank Boxing, but he was the executive producer of a great series, the USA Tuesday Night Fights. Remember, like the early advent of cable TV, Dave? Well, you were never a cable subscriber, but and this was a great series, and he was responsible for the comeback of George Foreman, because he was putting Foreman up there fighting those stiffs every couple of weeks on USA, and they were getting dynamic ratings on those nights, and so he kept with it, and then Foreman eventually carved it out in a comeback where he knocked out Michael Moore somehow and recaptured at like age 70 the heavyweight championship of the world, and he didn't need the money, right? Because he had sold like 8 million Foreman grills.
Yep.
Unbelievable. Easy to remember his sons' names, too. They were all named George, like all 13 of them or something. All right, Chronic, you're in the game. You have 1 point. Congratulations.
All right.
All right, Lenny, golf, true or false? Believe it or not, J.R. Smith, the former NBA player who switched and entered North Carolina AT&T as a golfer, was named North Carolina AT&T's Academic Athlete of the Year. True or false?
I believe that's true.
It's true.
Yes,
It is
like
true.
a 4-0.
That's right.
He got like a 4-0.
Apologies to Paulie on that one. Sorry.
He's obviously sharpened up since he dribbled that basketball out to the three-point stripe there.
He's eating lunch, I'm sure.
While LeBron James is screaming, "Give it to me! Give it to me!
Just shoot it.
Shoot it, you fool!" All right, very good. 2 for 2, going for 5. And once again, I mean, have you noticed a turnaround and a trend here? This would be like the Dolphins winning the Super Bowl.
He gets me.
True, false questions. Lenny, dynamite, man. He's
Doing way
acing them
better.
every week.
Yeah, you're doing way better.
I'm slipping. All right.
Yeah, you are.
All right, hockey.
Yeah, it has to be you, Gurgles.
Yep. Your 3-point question, hockey, Lenny. In 1996, the Florida Panthers lost to the Colorado Avalanche in 4 games in the Stanley Cup final, but not before they defeated 3 other teams in the postseason in that year to get to the finals. Which of the following was not one of those teams they beat in the playoffs? Was not.
Not.
The Flyers, the Canadiens, the Bruins, or the Penguins?
Go with the Penguins.
No, they beat the Penguins soundly, and I think in the opening round. The Canadiens were not one of their opponents in that one.
Chronic usually very sharp on all matters of the NHL. I mean, you would think he was like Gary Bettman Jr. or something. All right, going for 7 here, Lenny, and this would put you in the finals.
All right, baseball. The Marlins off to a great start, and remember, they started way back in '93. We want to know which Marlins player recorded their first ever stolen base.
All right, good question.
Was it Chuck
good one.
Agar, Brett Barbary, Benito Santiago, or Jeff Conine?
You got to go with the obvious this time. Chucky Carr.
Chuck Carr. I'm going to say
No,
Brett
Chucky
Barbary.
didn't even start that year.
Yeah.
No, how about this?
Really?
Jeff Conine.
Conine?
Stolen base.
Oh, Mr.
Yes.
Marley.
Really?
How did
he
that
get
happen?
steal? What did he steal?
Defensive indifference? Do you get a stolen base on that?
Like, when did he
It could have been. Yep.
Unbelievable. Yeah, they just had that 25-year reunion. Very good. All right, so the Chronic, is that it for the Chronic? Yeah, that was done.
That's it.
done, but he's
That's it.
tied for the lead with 2.
Okay.
So, I mean, I guess we could.
All right, well,
sad
let's figure out where we're going. We'll have Dave tell us once again about how great on the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge it is to embrace Perdomo cigars. And Nick Perdomo, one of the truly great guys. I'll never forget it. I was getting on a plane out of Las Vegas, Red Eye, and they must have had one of the cigar conventions there at the same time. And Nick Perdomo introduced himself to me. He had been a sponsor of various radio shows, so I was aware of his greatness and the story. And could not have been a sweeter or more humble guy. You just got the feeling right away with this guy that you couldn't help but applaud his success because he was just such a genuine human being.
Yeah, and Perdomo Cigars, great history. His grandfather started it back in Cuba. His dad came over to the States. Nick had a promising career as an air traffic controller. He saw his dad needed some help with the tobacco business, went into it. Now his son, Nick Jr., is involved. So a 4th generation of making cigars perfect one at a time. And he is an unabashed, as you say, proud owner. You go there. I took a group of golfers there, and he gave them an hour tour explaining about everything. He's invited me, and I'll make a trip one day down to Nicaragua to see the plant and everything like that. But they make them with tender loving care, and it's easy to get to for you folks. 5150 Northwest 167th Street on the south side of the Palmetto, just a little bit east of the Home Depot there. Before you hit the big curb, if you're coming east to west, you'll see it on the left side, the big sign for Perdomo Cigars, Nick's Cigars, and you can't beat it. 305-627-6700 is the number to call. Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. You would want to get one this Saturday. Hey, I'm going to watch the Preakness and the PGA. I need some Perdomo Cigars. Any retailer near you should have Perdomo Cigars. And if they do, just go in there and say, I want a Perdomo cigar, lot 23, Edición de Silvio, the 10th anniversary, the 20th anniversary. They make them all perfect one at a time. So when simplification crosses that line first and Colin Morikawa wins the PGA Championship, what a parlay. It's like Hialeah Park and Perdomo Cigars. Put something great in your mouth with a cigar from Perdomo Cigars.
I don't know if this is as traditional. I used to throw a few derby parties. You might have attended one or two of them. And I finally had to. I got shut down by the city when Princess Bazoom went into the pool that time from the local strip club, and all of a sudden there were another 30 guys in the pool. That was spotted by some chopper that just happened to be going by, making a rescue in the intercoastal. It became prohibitive to do that again, and certainly I don't have the circumstances here at the new Defo Digs to be throwing wild parties, but. And maybe that's a good thing. But do people have Preakness parties? Gurgles? I mean,
yeah, they do.
You don't hear
It's
about
not-
a lot
not
of Preakness parties.
Haitians will.
not the same flair as the Derby, obviously. I've been to 2 Derbies, 73 and 74, with Secretariat and Cannonade. And then in 74, I went to the Preakness, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, Little Current won it with Miguel Rivera.
Wow, nice.
And that was my only trip to the Preakness. But the Preakness parties are not as substantial as the Derby parties, because most people don't have any money left from tapping out on the Derby. So you're right.
It was really, and I applaud this. I mean, I don't mean to discourage people from coming out and plunging on the Kentucky Derby, but clear cut to a grizzled horse player, it's really amateur hour, and it's kind of weird. And it was funny. I literally was like 3 people behind a lady after waiting through 20 people that were in the line. I had to cash a ticket, of all things, from one of the previous races, and I was leaving the place I was at to jog down to Hialeah for the fights. So, and we only went there, because the Mustang had a substantial amount of free play that was going to evaporate that day.
Of course.
So I figured that's like 200 less. I don't have to lay out of my horse racing bankroll. Which was a good thing, because I was down to my last couple of bucks when I finally hit a 7.5 exact at like Oaklawn Park and got all of my money back plus like a stick. But the lady had like a thing like this, a shopping list. Okay, yeah, I want a tuna, no mayo, pickles only. And she's reading this. I mean, and a lot of people were doing that, and they had no idea how to call out the bets, obviously. So they did the best they could. But it's nice to see that kind of money flooding the pools. But at the same time, it's a little insane. So it's not quite the same with the Preakness. And the best place, I couldn't believe it. People were betting right up to the horses. Like 19 of them were in the gate, and people were still getting in that just made a move to the window at Hialeah Park because they had the thing set up so well. So that was great. All right, the finals are set here. We're going to match the Chronic against Pat. So a battle of Chronics, because Pat certainly has the distinction of going way back with us here on the Trivia Challenge, the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. Guys, you know the rules, but we're obligated by FCC regulations, and we don't want to get Jack Namer in trouble with any of the authorities, the governing bodies that, is there anybody really checking in on what happens on the internet?
No.
Not yet.
Still
So
not.
that's good.
20 years later.
Yeah. You wouldn't want to be doing this 20 years from now, but where massive restrictions apply, especially since all legislation seems to be leaning back towards like the 18th century in the way that it was conceived. So Dave's going to fire for question. Call out your name if you want to answer. If nobody answers right away, we'll offer multiple choice. The first person to call out his name gets first choice. And then we go back and forth till we have a winner for the championship here. This week's edition of the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. Good luck to Lenny and Pat. Here's Dave Gurgles Gurgley.
Good luck, guys. Baseball for this one. This past week, Judge, Stanton, and Rizzo became the first trio in Yankees franchise history to crush double-digit homers in the club's first 35 games of the season. Plus, it's just the 8th time in Major League Baseball that a team has had at least 3 players hit 10 home runs within the first 35 games of the season. We want to know which Major League team did it first.
All right. That's a good question. Anybody?
Was it?
Here's multiple choice.
Was it the Reds, the White Sox, the Braves, or the Twins?
Pat.
Yes.
You're up.
The White Sox.
Sox.
No.
All right. 3 left for the Chronic. An unusual, kind of sedate strategy here being used by the Chronic. Yeah. Passive aggressive.
All right, Lenny,
passive aggressive today.
That's right. Lenny, was it the Reds, the Braves, or the Twins?
Let's go with the Twins.
Twins. Yes.
That's right.
Wow, it worked.
It was.
Oh,
Bob Allison.
The Chronic.
Bob Allison, Jimmy Hall, and Harmon Killebrew did it way back in 1964.
Excellent.
Love you guys. Thanks a lot. Congrats, Chronicle.
Excellent, yeah. I'm sure Alex Sufreen will be thrilled when you submit the name of Lenny the Chronic. Lenny Leader, as the recipient of yet another $25 gift certificate to Landlubber's Sports Bar, which that's a great place to watch all of these games. I used to love going in there, doing that high school show we were doing, Lubie, many years ago when we had that thing going, and we do a live remote from Landlubbers every Tuesday, and it was a heck of a lot of fun. It really was, and I always enjoyed all of the great food. It's tough to make a decision, which is the item you're going to go with that night, because they have so many great things there. Much like at what was Shula's Steak too, but is now
Miami Lakes Steak and Sports. As a matter of fact, Lubie, is there any truth to the rumor that they may end up changing the name to Lenny Lubbers?
It's possible, yeah.
No,
He may
okay,
own the
all right.
joint with those gift cards, right? Imagine you're in bankruptcy court here, and the guy's paying you off in gift cards for a place that you started from scratch like 30 years ago, a legendary sports bar here. I haven't seen a harder working guy than Alex Sufreen. I mean, all these people in the restaurant business are great, but wow, he is on top of everything that goes on there, and really does a great job. Dave, so your pick is going to be the one ball in the Preakness, and
Simplification, yeah, and I'm going to use a creative minister. I'm going to probably play simplification, all creative minister, and all simplification creative minister in a try.
All right, very good. So that's like all 1-2, and
yeah,
one
and,
all
and
2.
one all 2. Yep, and then I'll play
I
an
like the
exacta
strategy.
just to cover.
That's really not going to cost you a fortune either, because I think that move is like $14 or something like that, 12 or something. Yeah, maybe even less. So not bad. All right, good strategy. It gives you a lot of coverage, and then you're hoping some Bomberooski comes in the middle.
Exactly. With strike part 2
of your two horses, which often is the case. Florent Giroux won the biggest long shot in the field. I mean, no slouch in the saddle there in the irons, and he's on like a morning line 50-1 shot. Which
wow,
okay. I never know. I mean, we laughed at Rich Strike being in the race there in the Kentucky Derby. So good luck with all of your wagers. Great job today on the trivia challenge. Some real brain busters. Dave Gurgles Gurgley. The Polyman is vowed to return in short order, so we can look forward to that. And we can always look forward to going to Hialeah Park. Dave, thanks for being with us.
You got it, guys.
You're welcome.
Dave Gurgles Gurgley. Dave Gurgles Gurgley with a nice mix of questions today. No,
did well,
Lubie?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that was kind of interesting there, and the Marlins. I knew that they have never had a guy hit for the cycle.
Yeah, that's the one I got, because they always talk about it when a guy's close and then they never get there.
No, the cycle is a rarity for sure, but it doesn't seem so impossible that you would have multiple no hitters as a franchise, and then have nobody have hit for the cycle since the inception of the team in '93.
Well, they've had a lot of talent. They've had a lot of guys with speed that could also like Sheffield had speed that could hit for power. Yelich, Stanton, they've had a lot of guys in their time that could do the 5-tool stuff. It's weird that they've never had one.
I feel privileged to have witnessed. I believe it was one of 2 Chuck Carr home runs.
Chuck Carr.
And I forget what season it was, but he hit a home run in a game. No, not Chuck Carr. Who was it? Who was the other guy they had that played center field? Chuck Carr was long gone by this
Chuck
time.
Carr, Devin White did it from the Blue
No, it
Jays.
wasn't Devin White.
It was another
this was a guy. Wow, and he stole a lot of bases.
Juan
Pierre. I witnessed one of 2 Juan Pierre home runs on a day where I threw out the ceremonial first pitch.
Oh, nice.
Before a Pittsburgh Pirates game, and I believe that was September 1st that year. September 1st, and that was the year that the Marlins. That had to be what
2003. It was the year before they
2003 when they won the championship that year. Yeah.
Yep.
So that was great. All right, Scoop Skolnick is right around the corner. Let me tell you about Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill and all the good things going on there. It's just absolutely fabulous. Still have to get Mayo, the gambling gourmet, down there to try that Italian fisherman pizza.
Yes,
He fancies himself as a pizza connoisseur. I don't know. I mean, can everybody conceive of themselves in that fashion? I mean, if you like pizza, who doesn't?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, is there anybody that just says, I don't care, man, and they think like Domino's is the top of the line?
I know what I like and what I don't like, but I'm not like uber super duper duper picky. Like Mayo, I feel like dissects even I like good versus fast food pizza. I feel like Mayo, even when it gets to good pizza, dissects it.
Yeah.
That's why I want him to try that Italian fisherman, because it takes good pizza to another level.
Yeah, he was dissecting that piece of Corvina that Brad made up for us yesterday at the Even Keel thing, which was an unfortunate blown radio remote. We've had some, unusual luck
Yes.
at the Even Keel Fish Shack. The lucky thing, though, is we got to eat there. And you'll feel lucky, too. I mean, if you're heading for the Keys, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill, mile marker 104, the Overseas Highway. Now, it's a great place to stay. The accommodations are very unique, and you'll have to check that out and see. I mean, if it's something that you're inclined to do from whatever part of the country or the world you're coming from, I would have to say those were the most spectacular accommodations I've had any time I've stayed in the Keys. And back in the day, we used to have a little bit of privilege there from working in the media, and we would get some great places to stay, like all of the top places. And that was I don't think I've ever had a better hotel room anywhere. Not even in Las Vegas when I was getting hooked up by various casino hosts that I knew. And never really. I mean, the accommodations are exquisite at Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill, and you can find out about it at jimmyjohnsonsbigchill.com. Now, if you're just rolling through town, or you're staying in Key Largo, or even if you're staying somewhere else, which can happen, this is the place you want to hang out, right?
Yep.
Not some cheesy hotel pool, where every now and then there's a vulture goes overhead. You want to be where the action is, and that's where the live bands are playing, and the food and drink is absolutely off the chart. And then on top of that, you're getting great service, whether you're sitting at a pool or at one of their cabanas or at any of the dining tables that are there. You're right there on the bayside on the water. It really couldn't be any better of a scene. I was overwhelmingly surprised, and I was expecting good things, Louis, weren't you? And how great the place really is. And I mean this in all sincerity. And I'm a big fan of going down to the Keys and staying in some cheese ball place to save money and, finding local restaurants to dine in. This place really, it had everything incorporated into one that you would want on a fantastic day in Key Largo. It's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill. It's right there, mile marker 104, the Overseas Highway. Great food and drink, great atmosphere, great vibe, and emphasis on the drinks. And, of course, for a night like tonight, if you're in the area there in Key Largo, then why not stop in at the sports bar there, the remodeled sports bar, and catch, because people are trying to figure out, can I watch the Panthers and the Heat and the Panthers at the same time? Great place to do it with a big plate of nachos and maybe some of those great chicken wings or the pizzas at Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill, mile marker 104, the Overseas Highway in Key Largo. It'd be nice if we could send some guests down there on a show like Scoop Skolnick. Unfortunately, we can't extend him that privilege right now, but he's coming up and always great. And of course, we're very happy with Scoop because he has us featured on his 5 Reasons Sports Network. And since we have gone ahead and made that partnership, things are really taking off, skyrocketing here in the local market.
Sir.
We're very happy about that. So Scoop will appear on this network and then also on his own network as a guest.
Yes.
Which, wow, entrepreneurial spirit of Scoop Skolnick. And also great insight into the Miami Heat and what's going on with the franchise and how to shape up game and size up game number 2 of the Celtics and the Heat. That's coming up in just a few moments here on the Defo Show. He's Mike Lubitz. I'm Jeff Deforrest, and we'll be back with more here on Ion Channel in a moment. Now that it's 8:28. Poker is your game. You're covered in style. And you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette, in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers, Raw Bar, and Grill in the Plantation location, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers, Raw Bar, and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
Catholic Health Services is committed to care that changes as your needs do. Our full continuum of services is designed to be there throughout your care journey. If you need assistance with daily living, post-acute care following a serious health event, or additional medical care at home, we also offer skilled nursing and palliative and hospice care. Your care needs may change, but our commitment never does. Catholic Health Services, South Florida's #1 choice for post-acute and end-of-life care. Visit CatholicHealthServices.org.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I couldn't get your question.
You were a coach that you coached all kinds of teams. You had teams that...
Hey, say it in English. Is that yummy?
Enjoy your trip to work with lots of laughs thanks to Defo and Lubie. Now on the Defo Show.
Still a very compelling moment in Lubie's early broadcast career, as we had just kind of connected, and that was part of that high school show we were talking about, which was airing on 1470, a local barter station that we have here in South Florida that, was never of any great distinction. It was kind of weird selling advertising on that because I think I was talking to Sufreen about hosting the show there and becoming a sponsor, and we went out to the car, and unfortunately, it just turned to darkness when they powered down the radio station. And at that point, it was difficult to make out what was being said in the parking lot of Landlubbers. No, never a good thing. Yeah, I know it's right here. I guess there's something wrong with my radio. Not sure. Yeah, I should have had that thing repaired before I led you in here. But now, once again, and it's booming in the midday with Mike Mayo's Lunchbox, and we'll be doing that. And you can catch that on the Odyssey radio app anywhere around the country if you're curious about the dining and or sports scene here in South Florida. Mike Mayo's Lunchbox. And he'll be joining us tomorrow. Now, I think he whiffed, Lubie. I think he completely whiffed on this whole thing because he was on the right track. And this hit me an epiphany yesterday. I was on my walk of life, and it's getting to the point now. It's getting to the point where you can't stop schwitzing anymore. The old Crosby, Stills, and Nash thing. And, wow, I mean, it's just Schwitz City. And I don't know, does an excessive amount of sweat stimulate your mind or lead you to certain hallucinogenic thoughts that, might be a little bit too bizarre. But I believe that Mayo was right about this ill-fated playoff run for the Florida Panthers, but he misjudged the situation. He thought they were going to get embarrassed again and get knocked out in the first round. But the real embarrassment was yet to come. And this could come to pass where they get swept by the Tampa Bay Lightning and spanked and just shot right down. I mean, all of this booming confidence during the regular season gets wiped out because not only did they lose to the Lightning in the second round and fail to make any inroads towards the Stanley Cup, except for getting off the schneid there in that first-round series against the Schmenke Capitals, but they would have had a more embarrassing, worse loss than they had in the round last year when they got knocked down in the first round.
That's
what do
it
you
feels
think?
like. Yeah, I told you. I think once
So
I
they
saw
get
that
swept.
game, I don't see a sweep. It's hard to predict a sweep, especially from
Sweep. Yeah.
the number one team in all of hockey point wise. But that was bad. Like we talked about how they got comfortable coming back and it worked in the first round. But to me, you couldn't think that that's going to work versus the Lightning, the back-to-back defending champions, a team that their goalie's way better than yours, that can score on the power play, and they scored in a multitude in game one on the power play. Like the way that game went, it was very similar to the first round. And this is not an old Capitals team that's aging out. Like this is a Lightning team right in their prime. Like literally, they just won 2 titles and they're right there. They're still were a top 5 or 6 seed in all of hockey. So if you're going to play the same way this series, that's what scared the crap out of me. It wasn't even that they lost game 1. It was that the third period happened just like the first series, and they fell. Like offensively and defensively, they were a sieve. And Bobrovsky, who I've been concerned about, went back to giving up stupid ass goals, and the defense wasn't there for him. And that's in game 1 when you're up and you're ready and you got everyone there. The crowd was crazy. South Florida actually paid attention, because he didn't start till 8:30. Like that freaked me out the way that game went. And that's why I could see instead of them winning this series or being in a dogfight, I could see being worse than last year. Like, it's almost like I thought, okay, they're now ready to just go. It might be like, okay, they won their series. Cool. Which is really stupid from a number 1 seed.
We'll change our minds possibly after the result of tonight's game once again and go right back on the bandwagon. But as of now, I think Mayo whiffed by not betting that the Tampa Bay Lightning would sweep the Panthers. An impossible conception. I mean, you couldn't possibly have envisioned them getting swept, and that's where Mayo went wrong. And it's all sparked by this animosity and acrimony between himself and Doug Sifu, the team's CEO, because if you've noticed one thing about Mike Mayo, he doesn't get over stuff.
Oh, no.
He doesn't get over stuff. Like if you stiff him, with he wanted a Bloody Mary at Houston's, he's never gotten over it.
Yes, yeah, that was like years ago.
He continues to attack this restaurant. I mean, at any opportunity with like snide comments and things like that. And you know what? Sometimes you just got to shrug your shoulders and let it pass, right? Let bygones be bygones. Like we did with a guy named Steve Lappa when Scoop and I were working at 640 I don't know. We were like 640 the schmo or whatever it was, and
Schmo.
and every day it was like, "What are you talking about, Lappa? When are they going to pull the plug on this whole station?" Now, you had to worry that they didn't pay the electric bill over there. It was incredible, and much less the talent. We welcome Ethan Scoop Skolnick, of course, of 5 Reasons Sports Network, entrepreneurial, the Elon Musk of the local media here.
Well,
he's one of those guys. You know,
we don't want that comparison for much longer.
well, not politically, yeah, but in terms of cash flow.
Maybe until some recent revelations, perhaps, but
Yeah,
not anymore. Not anymore.
You too. I mean, you would not be inclined to allow Donald Trump to have an open platform on your 5 Reasons Sports Network, even if he was like, some expert sports writer out of his past.
I mean, you have to have a 3rd grade education before you can vote. So, that's how that works. We require more than 1-syllable words at 5 Reasons.
So if this guy was Red Smith, you wouldn't allow him to have a commentary on 5 Reasons Sports Network. All right, Ethan, a lot to get to here, and it's been an interesting ride. Those 2 games that the Heat lost in Philadelphia kind of opened some eyes and maybe developed some concerns. And you thought, how is this happening? They didn't have Embiid, and now they get him back. And even though he wasn't completely ready to go and going to play at the level that he did as he was an MVP candidate, it still was disturbing if you're a Heat fan or somebody that thinks that they're going to win the series and the title maybe, to see those 2 losses. They come right back and they wipe that away. And then he beat the Celtics in game number 1. What did you see there? Was it just, due partially, I guess, to, the Celtics being depleted without Marcus Smart and Al Horford, who had been terrific for him in previous series? How did you size up game number 1, and where does that leave you in terms of what's going to happen tonight?
Well, I still think this is going to be a long series. I do. And Smart's going to be back tonight, it looks like. Horford, probably not until game 3. I feel like they can overcome the loss of Horford a little easier than they can the loss of Smart because they have so many bigs. You saw Robert Williams, have an impact early in the game. In particular, I think he made his first 5 shots. They were all at the rim. They were all kind of dives to the rim on pick and roll. He's a very good defender. Grant Williams gives him a 3-point shooter, and Tice is serviceable for the most part. So they have enough bigs, but I thought without Marcus Smart, they just don't have enough answers on the perimeter. The Heat hunted Peyton Pritchard the entire time he was in there. So whatever scoring he had on the other end, it's kind of funny to me to Celtics fans who were basically saying Peyton Pritchard is Tyler Hero. And other than pigmentation, I just don't see it. It's, and so
he looks more like JJ Correa to me. I mean, as a Heat menace.
Well, that's still a sore subject.
You illustrated that very well last time you were on with us.
Yeah, I think Dallas has the lifetime contract with him. I think Cuban gave him a lifetime deal. And you know what?
It was that Red Sea defense.
Yeah, I don't know what the rules are for the finals, but if Dallas gets through this series somehow, maybe they re-sign him against the Heat and then to play against Jimmy and see if Jimmy will back him down. I think that this is going to be a competitive series. I do. Game 1 to me, the first half, Miami had some problems with some things we thought they would have some problems with. Tatum was pretty much unguardable in that first half. I mean, it didn't matter what you did with him. He shot over it. Jaylen Brown did not play particularly well, even though the numbers said that he did. I expect him to be better in game 2. But that third quarter, I mean, that's the best of the Heat. I mean, really, that is their defense leading to their offense. And Jimmy right now is one of the 2 best players in the playoffs, I think. And, as a 2-way player, there's nobody with him. And he's just playing at an insane level. And again, it starts with his defense. You don't have to necessarily run a ton of stuff for him. He's going to create, and then he's going to hunt the mismatches on the other end. So, I mean, this Heat team, we've seen all year, Lowry's out. Nobody talks about it. Gabe played extremely well. They just have enough bodies to do anything. And then a guy like Oladipo, I thought, played excellent defense in that game also. So that third quarter was outstanding. I don't think it's indicative of what this series is going to be.
Ethan, you talked about who's coming back for the Celtics, and it feels like Smart will be there, and then eventually they'll have Horford. Kyle Lowry, it's weird because he's sort of not been there the whole season or playoffs. So it's not like they're missing him. They've overcome him. But what I'm curious about is, will he come back? And as we've seen, is it good if he comes back? Like, what does it mean if he comes back?
Well, I do think he's going to come back at some point, provided they play long enough. He come back? I mean, he shouldn't come back if he's in the condition he was last time. And that whole thing now, looking back, was a little strange. I mean, we didn't think that he was going to play until they lost. And then they were up 2-0 and they put him in. It was almost like they put him in because he wanted to play and also because they thought they could kind of get away with it if he didn't play well. And we saw they really didn't get away with it. They lost the 2 games with him. You look at his numbers in the postseason. I mean, even in the first round against Atlanta, before he hurt the hamstring, he wasn't playing that well. I'm not going to make an argument that Gabe Vincent's better than Kyle Lowry. He's not. But there are certain things that they know how to do without Kyle now that it's a little bit challenging to put him back in and then go back to the other way. When Gabe is starting, he's going to handle a little bit, but it's really more about the other guys handling, and Gabe is kind of giving you energy and defense, and if he's making a shot and he's confident with it, all the better. When Kyle's playing, the ball's going to be in his hands, and that is a different way to play. Now, I think that's a better way to play down the stretch of a close game. They haven't had a ton of close games. Like, if you look at the postseason, like the 2 games against Philadelphia, they really weren't in them at the end. And the one close game was the Atlanta game that Jimmy kind of monopolized it at the end, if you remember, that they lost. Other than that, I mean, that's been it. So, last game 1 wasn't close. The third quarter made sure of that. So what you really need Kyle for is the tight games, but we haven't really seen it. So they've learned how to play another way. The other thing that Kyle's return complicates is the Oladipo situation, because then you have so many. I mean, you're not going to pull Gabe totally out of the rotation, but when you're playing Oladipo, Lowry, Butler, Hero all together, it's like who handles, who doesn't. Yeah. So I think I think this time I'm going to stick to this. I think they're going to wait until they lose. But I said this in the last round and I was wrong, but I got to think that's the strategy here. Like, make sure he's as close to 100% as possible. And if they lose, then they need to change the energy of this series. But I don't think he's gifted back to the starting lineup as soon as he says, I'm okay this time. I don't think they're going to do that.
Ethan Scoop Skolnick, 5 Reasons Sports Network, the entrepreneur that started the whole thing. They do a great job. I mean, massive coverage of the Miami Heat. So if you're interested in that, pop on the 5 Reasons Sports Network and you can catch all the different things they do. Which are you on 24 hours, Scoop, with your Heat coverage? Because
it feels like a YouTube channel. I mean, I'm still so frustrated. They put the Panther games on the same night as the Heat games because we would have had something all week long, and the NHL not caring about this market at all is very frustrating. Or ESPN not caring about this market at all is very frustrating, because there was really more of that, and it was really more Ranger related. But we should have had games every single night this week. It's funny because I've been obviously tuned into the Panthers, but I'm covering a Heat game the other night. Literally, it was after the game. It was like, did the Panthers win? I think that's what happened to a lot of the media in game 1, and it's going to happen again tonight. And it's just very, very frustrating that they did that. So
yeah, it was ugly. I did watch that third period, and I mean, so what if the officials allow the Lightning to put 2 guys in the Panthers' crease inside the blue area, and they blindfold Bobrovsky, and beat the crap out of the guy, and then a couple of goals get by him, and everybody's down on the goaltending for the Cats. But we'll see if they can bounce back tonight. Now, I'm a big fan of stories that involve a disappearing act. D.D. Cooper being one of the greats, right? Jumps out of a plane, nobody knows. Escape from Alcatraz, the Clint Eastwood movie, right? Did they live? Well, we don't know. Martha Mitchell, whatever happened to her? And it happens in sports. And after the 2 losses in Philadelphia, we started to speculate what is wrong with Spoelstra. Has he lost his mind? Why isn't Duncan Robinson playing? So what is there a mystery there? Or, I mean, what is the rationale behind it? Because the guy, he just had like a Rex Chapman night against the Bulls where he shot like 7 for 8 or something on 3-pointers. And then they're staggering around there going like 7 for 35. What happened with Duncan Robinson? Why doesn't he see any playing time?
Well, I think it's an Oladipo thing right now. I think they've just chosen the defense. I mean, Caleb Martin's getting some limited minutes, so it's a little bit about him also. And Caleb tends to give you a jolt when he comes in. Like he'll take a charge and he'll drive to the layup. I mean, there may not be a lot else, but that first minute he's gonna make his impact known. I think with Duncan, They tried it. I mean, Spoelstra tried it at the end of the Philadelphia series. He gave him some minutes kind of at the back end of the rotation, but they really didn't run anything for him. He was just sort of out there. I just think they've gotten away from we're going to feature Duncan Robinson in the offense at this point. And when that's the case, then he kind of has to find his own. And he's not, as efficient at finding his own as even though he keeps moving, if the ball's not coming to him, the gravity's not what it was before. I don't think teams are as scared of it because Duncan is a bad player all of a sudden or a bad shooter, but because the Heat are not featuring him like they did. So, I think that there could be a role for him in this series. The one thing that has not, it's interesting. The Heat, what are we now? They were 4-1, 4-2, so 8-3, 9-3 in the playoffs, right? They haven't shot the ball well yet.
No.
They were first in the league in 3-point shooting, and they're still towards middle to bottom of the pack of 3-point shooting teams in the playoffs, and they've still won mostly because Jimmy's played bully ball. And they've gotten away with that. I mean, Tyler's numbers from 3 are way down from the regular season. Even Strus's numbers are down some. Gabe's have ticked up a bit, but they're down a little bit. They don't have Lowry, who was a good 3-point shooter in the regular season. So you would think that, I understand it, and I think that Duncan will get a shot at some point, but then it becomes the other end. It's kind of like, okay, when you put Oladipo out there, like the only guy out there that you can hunt on the Heat is Hero defensively. So you put Duncan out there, then you got 2. And this team, we've seen it. I mean, going back 2 years when Duncan was a regular starter and was playing 35 minutes, I mean, literally, they went to Tatum or Brown. Again, whoever got matched up with Duncan in the last 3-4 minutes of the game, like they went right to him. So they'll do it again. And maybe he won't play down the stretch, but even at any minutes he's out there. So you almost got to play him when Tatum's not out there, I think. And it's hard to match those minutes when we know that Udoka is going to play Tatum 40 minutes. So I just think Eric's having a hard time finding where to slot him.
And I do want to move on to the Western Conference. But before we go there, you said something about Jimmy Butler that's obviously true, especially where we're at now with 4 teams left. Jimmy Butler is, right, with Luka, I guess, as a top 2 player left. I mean, if you go game by game in the playoffs, especially on both ends, probably the number 1 player, even over Giannis, the way he's played both ends of the floor. You've been national media and you've been local media. You've been beating the drum about how this team has been sort of I don't know if we're forgotten, but just treated differently by the national media. Mm-hmm. It's not even the team. It's Jimmy Butler. And he's done it on the playoffs before. He had a bad playoffs last year. The whole team did. They and the Celtics were exhausted. It was clear to see that they were exhausted. This year, that team we saw 2 years ago, Jimmy Butler on this stage with this team has been as good as any player in the league. Mm-hmm. Yet time and time again, and it's not just white national media, it's just national media in general, because he's not pretty, because he's sort of old school about off the court and on the court, he's treated like, yeah, he's good, but he's not, Tatum. No, he's better than Tatum all around. It boggles my mind, the fact that this guy has been this with this team, and he still is treated sort of nationally the way he's treated.
Yeah, we talked to Mark. We had Mark Jones on last night on 5 on the Floor. It's a pretty good listen because Mark is the one guy. He actually referred to the Heat as we at the end of the podcast, and we kept it in. And he spoke to the same thing, and he said it's because Jimmy's game is not quote unquote sexy, and that's the reason that his colleagues can't get into it. I mean, I guess mismatch hunting and playing the passing lanes is not considered sexy in the modern NBA. I think that part of it is that the national media, and I saw last night, the beginning of NBA or during the day, NBA Today, the one that Zach Lowe's on, that they actually spent the first 12 minutes talking about Jimmy. So it feels like it's Jimmy come lately, so to speak. But they've come around here a little bit because they don't know who else to talk about. See that's the problem now is that like at some point there's nobody left but the Heat. So you could talk about all the teams that have been in Cancun for a month, or you could actually try to learn this team a little bit. And you're certainly not going to learn anything about Gabe Vincent or about Max Strus, since you can't even pronounce his name correctly, or Caleb Martin or Dwayne Dedman or anybody else, or even to a certain degree, Bam. Okay. So they're really going to focus on Tyler a little bit and Jimmy a lot. And I just think that it's too late at this point, like to educate their audience. And so now it's become a chicken or the egg thing. It's like, I saw this, like the East Conference Finals ratings were the highest they've been in 4 years for a game one. Now Boston's ratings were higher locally, and obviously the Celtics draw. We know that. But the Heat are part of that too. So this idea that the Heat are the Spurs, that nobody wants to watch them, it is not really right. I think there are personalities on this team. I just don't think that the national media has been invested in them all year. So it's very hard to flip the switch on it now. I think too, we've seen it. I mean, everything is in the context of what the other team did wrong every time.
Yes.
So somebody posted this up. The Heat have lost 3 games and the other team has lost 9. The Heat have not actually lost any. I'm sorry, the other team won 3 games.
Yeah.
The Heat have not actually won a game this entire postseason. And just to keep shouting culture at the screen and saying Spo, I mean, that's not analysis. And then yesterday, Mad Dog's on. I mean, I literally think he believes that Hardaway and Mourning were on the 2013 championship team. I've never heard more misinformation about the Heat in my life. And then you get to the end of it, and you're just like, you know what? I mean, they're still arguing whether Spo can win without LeBron. Like, at this point, I would prefer guys they just don't talk about them. Just don't. It's like they don't. Even the smart guys. I mean, Zach Lowe, who is to me the best NBA writer in the country. 2-3 years ago, he wrote that the Heat had the bleakest outlook in the sport. So they've kind of been wrong about everything with this team. So at this point, it's just better they don't say anything. Look, if Jimmy's holding the trophy at the end, it doesn't matter. They'll still probably award the MVP to LeBron in Cancun. but he's been good. And look, if you compare Jimmy's numbers to Dwayne and LeBron's best postseasons, he is right there. He's right there with Dwayne's 2005, which was actually, and 2006. And he's right there with Bron's 2012, 13, and 14. So, I mean, he's having a Dwayne LeBron peak, at age 32, which, Dwayne and LeBron were not doing that at age 32. That if LeBron's years in Miami were late 20s and Dwayne's best years in the playoffs were actually mid 20s. So it's pretty remarkable what he's done.
And we've seen him be effective with his previous 2 stops in the NBA and in pressure situations. But I don't know that I've ever seen Jimmy Butler be this sharp with everything that he's doing. I mean, you'll see him make a couple of shots and get brushed as he's going up on an impossible shot and go to the free throw line and score points. But you don't see it as consistently. He'll go through spells sometimes, or has in the past, where he puts up a series of bricks too. But no, he's been great, been dynamite, and obviously the main reason that the Heat are in the position they're in. The Golden State Warriors, and you mentioned the show with Chris Russo, who look, if you sat next to Francesa for 25 years and had to take all of that bluster in your face,
you get some of it.
You might start to disintegrate mentally later on in life, and maybe sooner than most. That would be considered for possibilities of onset of dementia. But Stephen A., I mean, I doubt you'll see this clip replayed on ESPN when. And I whiffed on this when Dallas went to Phoenix for Game 7, and they actually featured on the crawl. Stephen A. says Dallas will get blown out in Game 7. And then he came on and he did the performance, which is fine. I mean, we understand what's going on there. And the guy's very good at that particular to the tune of $12 million a year of ESPN money. Although I'm not sure that's any great distinction anymore with the amount of money being doled out for color analysts on football games that also offer the Mannings, who are far more entertaining to listen to than your two $35 million announcers are going to be on ESPN. But all that being said, and he said Dallas had no chance, and I was going to unload then on the Mavericks, even though I thought the Suns would win that game, but that changed my mind completely, because if you could book the media's action, you would be a rich man. We always say that on this show. Now Dallas goes out, lays an egg there in that Game 1. Not uncommon for a team that won Game 7 in the previous series to subsequently go on a road and get annihilated or lose certainly the first game of the next series. But what do you make there? Are they in there with any kind of a shot? And a lot of people think, Scoop Skolnick, that Golden State is going to win it all now, regardless of who comes out of the East.
Yeah, I mean, I think they have a shot. I do. I mean, again, they didn't look like they had much of a shot in the first 2 games against Phoenix, and obviously that played out a little differently. I have wondered all along if Dallas has been very good defensively this year. Jason Kidd deserves a lot of credit. But I have wondered all along if Luka was going to have enough of a supporting cast offensively to pull it through. If a team really focused on him. Steve Kerr is very underrated as a defensive coach. And so I figure that they would have a plan here that could be effective. Golden State to me is interesting because, I think everybody's been projecting them. I don't think it's really been based on what they've done the second half of the season, right? Like you look at them on paper and you're like, well, okay, look, if they can get, Steph and Clay working with Poole at the same time, like how do you stop that? Provided that Draymond is healthy, but those three haven't really always played that well together. And then they've had a lot of guys going in and out of the lineup. Otto Porter has been kind of an important role player for them, and he's been banged up. Wiseman, we knew, was not coming back. Iguodala, they were going to plug in for some veteran, defensive minutes and stuff. And obviously, he's been banged. So they haven't really been totally healthy. I think everybody's been projecting what they look like when they're healthy, and then you add Wiggins to the mix also. I will say that Miami may come to regret the way they handled the last game of the season. And that they didn't decide to try to win it because they would have had the tiebreaker over Golden State. That may be a factor. I mean, having to start a series in that building, going to be a little bit of a challenge. But I picked Golden State to win the series. I think it's going to be a competitive series. I don't think this Warriors team is as good as the Warriors teams that obviously the Durant team or even the team that preceded Durant. But in a wide open year like this, where you could have taken, like before the year, you could have said that the four teams in the the conference finals would have been what? Philadelphia, Milwaukee, or Brooklyn, and then in the West, Phoenix, and I don't know, Memphis or what. And you might have had a chance to be right? Like there were like 8 or 9 teams that could have been here right now. And I think Golden State is probably the most complete team left. But can Miami beat them in a series? Yeah. I think they can. I think Boston could, and I think Dallas can make this competitive. So I don't think there's one team that sticks out more than any of the others to the degree that we've seen in past years, where when the Warriors got to the conference finals, you're like, okay, unless LeBron goes nuclear, there's no chance. And that's pretty much where it was.
I'm kind of hoping Dallas survives this series, even though I like Golden State. A very entertaining team to watch, and especially as Steph Curry being a terrific ambassador for the game, although I don't believe that he's eating that ham sandwich at Subway.
No,
I do not.
And that Serena walks in and orders a tuna on rye. I mean, I don't think that's it's not reality, but I would love to see Dallas follow you on your suggestion that they re-sign J.J. Correa for the final against the Heat, and that the Heat once again, Spoelstra invokes the Red Sea defense and allows Correa to go through the paint with impunity and end up ruining.
Don't we need Mavericks Heat 3 though? I feel like we do. Like I
would love to see if we can win.
Not unless you bring Dirk back. I mean, you got to bring Dirk back.
Comes back,
and hopefully he sprayed his armpits, because that was the assertion from Zoe that he stunk the place out. Man. All right, we love you, Scoop. Excellent job as always on everything, and thanks so much for supporting us with the 5 Reasons Sports Network appearance, which has been gaining momentum. So appreciate that platform being available to us through you and your ingenuity and hard work. Thanks so much for being with us. Enjoy the game tonight, and we'll talk to you again, real soon. We hope, and dissect some more playoff rounds involving the Miami Heat.
Just like in the 2011 NBA Finals, they play again. LeBron will not show up, so we'll have the exact same situation. If that occurs, you can have Jimmy and Hero do the cough this time that gets them in all of the trouble at the press conference. Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
Always a pleasure. Yeah, Riley will end up looking like the character that he's portrayed as in Winning Time if LeBron James comes back and says, hey, I wouldn't mind lining up against the Dallas Mavericks. I don't know. After watching last night, how do you see Dallas? I know things can turn around, but, it's hard to envision Dallas. I think Luka, was this a final total? Did he have more turnovers than baskets?
He only scored 20 total, and he's going to take shots.
Oh, yeah, so like 6 field goals, and 7 turnovers. I think I saw that stat posted somewhere, but I was like half asleep at the time. All right, hopefully we haven't put you to sleep. It was a lot of fun today. I really enjoyed the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge, and always thanks to the people at Hialeah Park for the great job they do and for their loyal And just a continuing support here on the program. We really appreciate that. And Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill, of course, mile marker 104 in Key Largo. All of our other fine sponsors here on the show. We appreciate it, and we will see you tomorrow. A Degenerate Friday, going to be a spectacular. Always love having Kate and Bradar on the show. She is fantastic, and she's going to join us on the video stream as well. So that'll be a lot of fun with analysis on the Preakness. And the race is coming up on Saturday. The Oaks, what do they call it? The Black-Eyed Susan, I guess it is. It's not the Kentucky Oaks. It's a Black-Eyed Susan is the filly race. And so there's a lot there. And interestingly, I mean, the Kentucky Oaks winner, D. Wayne, at 86, decided to go ahead and give the girl a go in the Preakness, which is always an interesting proposition there. Rachel Alexandra, I want to say, was the last to win the Kentucky Oaks and then move on, start in the Preakness and win the race. And that was a while back, huh? That was like
that was a few years
2008, maybe?
That was a long time ago.
So I don't know. That might not be true, but I want to say that is true. True or false, Lubie?
I'll say true. I mean, more than I do.
I would have to think that was the case. I can't recall a filly winning the Preakness, although we're not as familiar with Preakness winners as we might be with Derby winners. For some reason, this is the redheaded stepchild of the Triple Crown races, and yet you can't have a Triple Crown without a win in the Preakness. And of course, there'll be no Triple Crown winner this year because Rich Strike, the long shot winner, paid 160 and change to win the Derby as a 21 ball. Will not be running in the Preakness, and supposedly scheduled to run in the Belmont, although that would refute speculation that the horse was wildly juiced in the Kentucky Derby and maybe out of the country by the time the Preakness rolled around and competing in Venezuela. All right, and losing there because of stricter drug regulations. All right, we'll see you tomorrow. Degenerate Friday also includes the professor with the big board and the gambling gourmet Mike Mayo, who I think he whiffed, and we'll find out. What if the Panthers are down 0-2, having lost 2 at home to the Lightning, and maybe it happens again in ugly fashion?
Yeah, we weren't going to take that bet, but he should have done it. I mean, he was
should have done it because he had a conviction, and you know what? He let it. He lost his mind. He didn't know which way was up after he made that wager.
Yep.
Even yesterday, did he not look confused? Mayo?
Yes, he's been all over the place with the Panthers. Even though he was right all along, he just had the wrong series.
Yeah, and it hit me like a ton of bricks. Why didn't I do it? Because he isn't going to do it, and he was right about this. He was right. It was Barzini all along. It was not what it appeared to be. The regular season was an illusion. All right, we'll see you tomorrow at 7. Hey, thanks, everybody, for tuning in. A lot of fun. You guys have participated in the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. Always appreciate that. And Dave Gurgly, great job. Scoop Skolnick. We'll have it for you tomorrow again with the professor, Mike Mayo, and the lovely Kate and Bradar, all with their analysis on various degenerate activities on the Defo Show on Ion Channel. He's Mike Lubie Lubitz. I'm Jeff Deforrest. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time as we leave you now that.
The time.
It's 9:03.
Let's go to eat a damn snack.
Look what they done to my soul.